and I think
toggled the mute
my bad.
thing
now we can hear him.
Now we can.
So wait, only part of the chat, part of our Slack can hear me, and part can't, right?
I can hear you just fine.
Kevin can hear
I can
me.
hear you.
Blake?
I can't hear.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
That's so weird.
Slack. Sure. Okay. Should we blow on the cartridge?
That's right. Yeah, I'll go get the rubbing. I'll go get the alcohol, the Q-tips.
Who? Krabs, can you hear me?
I can hear you now after I relogged into the call.
Can someone tell Ozzy, who Ozzy can hear, to log out and back into the call? He just did it. Okay. I got Charles here. He can hear me, right?
Correct.
I got Blake here. Can you hear me, Blake?
Hey.
Yeah, I got you now.
I got
Yeah.
Kevin here. Kevin can hear me, right?
Ozzy can hear us now.
Yeah, I'm back. I can hear you now.
Ozzy can hear me. I can hear Ozzy. David's right next to me, so you guys should be able to hear him.
You guys hear me?
Can you hear Lola? Okay. I think we got everyone.
I think so.
So let's continue with the introductions that they couldn't hear.
Right.
With me through a series of tubes, we have Ozzy Mejia from the world famous Shacknews. We have Brittany Vincent, the editor-in-chief of Modojo, which is now at Shacknews. So she's like the head of our mobile games coverage at Shacknews. We have Kevin Tucker from the Modojo team here. And we have Chris Gerard, our tech editor at Shacknews. We have Charles Singletary, our news hound. And the guy who was in 2 bomb threats in a weekend in Dallas. He had to evacuate.
That's doing it for Shacknews.
He did it for Shacknews super hard a couple weeks ago.
Did.
And
yeah.
I'm happy that those were fake bomb threats.
Yes.
Instead of real ones.
That's good.
And
always good.
Introducing a new face to Shackers, right? Mm-hmm. Blake Morris has joined the Team Shacknews right before the end of the year to help us figure out what game of the year is. And
Hi, everybody. That's why you brought me in, right?
Yeah, I was like, you're just gonna vote for Zelda, right?
Should his opinion only count for 1/12 what ours does, though?
But technically,
each person was here. Mine only counts for 5.
Exactly. I'm glad you bring that up because some folks here started at Shacknews this year. Some people came back to Shacknews this year. Some people have been here the whole year.
Yeah.
So it's like, do I start fractioning off whose vote matters? I don't think so. I think everyone can have a vote.
I think I get a vote for every page of Rocket Jump. So
that's like 500 votes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
I think it depends on how big the state you live in is and how many people live in that state. And that gives you electoral votes, right?
Oh no!
I'm in Texas. I win.
I'm in California.
Wait, doesn't Ohio always pick the winner though?
That's true. Ohio's pretty.
So we're sitting
Texas
here.
was going to try to secede, so it doesn't count.
Skatecore says, "Ozzy, clean your room," and everyone wants signed Lola Prince.
No.
Ozzy is too busy for that.
Ozzy's like, I don't got time for that. But yeah, welcome everyone who's watching in our Twitch chat. We're going to be talking about the game of the year. But yeah, I'm still doing introductions, right? I think I got everybody.
I think so.
There's some people that couldn't make it. Greg Burke, he's driving down to Southern California from Northern California. And he's kind of under the weather. He also hasn't played enough games to have a firm opinion.
Right.
But he's also...
He probably hates all these games.
He likes Zelda. He hated... let's talk Zelda real quick. Because...
Didn't he complain about Zelda for the first couple of weeks?
He sure did.
He complained about Zelda for months. It was like until he got off the plateau, and he was like, okay, this game doesn't suck anymore. And then after he got past a Divine Beast, he's like, it's pretty good. And then by E3, he's like, I love it.
Yeah.
And then after he beat it, he's like, it's the greatest game of the year. And so he went from hating it to loving it in about a 9-month period.
The proverbial emotional roller coaster.
But didn't he give Shadow of War a 10 of 10 initially?
He tried.
He tried to.
Luckily, we have editorial here that's like, no, we don't give 10 out of 10
luckily
to
you
Shacknews.
keep a gun in the office.
I should mention, it's not the only time that's happened this year. Charles, when you played Hellblade, you wanted to give that a 10 out of 10.
I did want to give it a 10, yeah.
So, talk about a game that's...
Something's gonna be a 10. It can't be a game that we're going to forget about in 3 months. That needs to be like a game that we talk about for ever.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and is also good. So no PUBG. PUBG is not.
So it's Zelda. Ozzy just saved us a lot of time.
No,
Thanks for tuning
Zelda's
in,
not
everybody.
perfect.
Oh.
We did
Oh,
not
no.
give Zelda a 10 out of 10.
No, there's no perfect game except Tetris
Except Super Mario World.
and Super Mario World. Two
I would have
perfect
given
games.
like if
I thought you were gonna say Odyssey. I'm like, Odyssey's not perfect either.
No.
no Super Mario World, in my opinion, like because I've had multiple Shack staffers this year be like, so what is a 10 out of 10, you jerk? And I'm like, Super Mario
Super
World.
Mario World.
Mount your friends.
Not your friends. I don't know.
Once you put your own face on it, it's 10 out of 10.
It is a really good game. I've done that at QuakeCon a couple of times. They have Lola's head that they put in there too, and it's just great.
That's a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, it's a 10 out of 10 experience, but come
Yeah.
on. Let's be real. Even The Witcher 3 didn't even get a 10 out of 10.
Well, then you have the argument, what's the point of having a 10 out of 10 if nothing ever hits it?
Because someday something might get a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, and
Doom was
someday
close.
someone might
Doom's
like me.
close.
Doom was the closest I think we've ever been.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, I think the only argument we had against it was the
The
multiplayer.
multiplayer, which wasn't bad. It was just kind of insipid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a good point, Chris. Like, why even bother having it? But I feel like someday there will be a game that I'll argue is a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
There will be another game like Journey that will be like 10 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
The Super NES Classic came out this year, so I can make a case for Super Mario World.
Yeah, like if we just reviewed the Super Mario World emulation on
Yeah.
the SNES Classic,
10 out of 10.
let's give that a 10 out of 10, and then just call it a day.
Yeah.
There you got your 10, you millennials. What do you want?
That's right.
So, let's talk about Hellblade though, Charles, because you gave it a 10 out of 10. Talk about why you liked it so much, what you think it did differently. I know a couple of other staffers have played it all the way through. I know that the sound design is one of the things that jumps out at me, but talk about what you liked about it.
Didn't know I was gonna have to go first for Hellblade.
Oh, my bad.
But,
My bad.
no, it's all good. Yeah, sound design is one of the best parts of this game, and if I can't remember the technical term for how it was recorded, it's by something.
Binaural audio.
Yeah, binaural audio. And you have to really hear it yourself to really understand how incredible it is, but just that alone made all the other aspects of the game that much better. It drew you into the environment. It made the very simplistic combat system interesting. Just hearing those different voices, be even more aware of the environment that you're fighting in, and where you're getting attacked from. And the game deals with. Oh, also the reason why it has that type of audio recording. The main reason is because they're trying to give an accurate representation of mental instability, and hearing voices was just one of those aspects. And there's so much of that game or so much about mental instability that I learned while it was also a fun experience. To me, at least. I've seen that some people didn't think it was that fun. It was more of like an educational thing for them, and I can understand that. But I thought it was a really good balance between being informative about mental instability and giving us a interesting narrative to work toward or work through. I thought the ending was also very, very good. I don't want to. Should I care about spoiling it? It doesn't matter. But I thought it was really good. And visually, the game is really impressive, especially for this being a game that didn't have the deep wells of money. Ninja Theory called it like AAA indie or AA indie or something.
Yeah.
Is what they called it.
That sounds right.
Yeah, because they didn't have the large amounts of money, but they put a lot of work into all of the design aspects of it. They approached it creatively.
Wasn't it priced like $30 too?
It was also priced low. Yeah.
It was bargain priced.
Yeah,
and just go ahead.
I think they deserve credit for taking that kind of different philosophy, where there's like a lot of multi-$100 million budget $60 games out there, But to make a $30 price point, it just sets the bar lower for your head count and everything. Like if you're taking that approach, I think they deserve some credit for. They might be trailblazing there.
It's also a good price point because, if this is a studio that not a lot of people have heard of, a game that's not part of an established franchise, you see that $30 price tag. That's kind of within the realm of an instant buy, whereas 50, 60, it might be out of that realm for a lot of people. That's
true.
You have to applaud, a development team like that for kind of going away from kind of almost skewing the line between mainstream and indie. Like what they do creatively in this game is a lot of what you kind of see people doing with indie titles, but they don't have the visual tools at their disposal and the large team that Ninja Theory had in order to work on this.
I would agree with everything Blake and Charles said, and also add on that the way the face animation and look worked made stuff that had 10 times the budget, like Team Bondi's L.A. Noire, look quaint, and it was even several cuts above what you would get out of a Naughty Dog game as far as the way emotion and stuff was shown through main character's face, and the way she looked around, or just tiny little movements and stuff, was unlike anything I've ever seen in a game.
Yeah, and to throw an extra bit of information out there, Melina Juergens? Melina Juergens, who she did the voice for Senua, but she started off as just a motion capture actor. That's it. She had no experience doing voice acting for it, but she did a wonderful, wonderful job with it. Everyone in there, they're not a whole lot of voices, but when they speak, it's very impactful, and they did a wonderful job with it.
She did great.
I think raising the point that for a lot of people it wasn't fun can lead to an interesting discussion, because I remember the first game I played that I really enjoyed, but it wasn't fun by the denotative definition, was The Last of Us. Like for a lot of people that was that's an emotionally grueling game. I enjoy survival horror games, I enjoy stealth games, I liked those aspects of it, but it wasn't fun. But that wasn't a bad thing. It was a very just raw emotional experience that I didn't think detracted from my enjoyment of it at all. So I think that it's interesting. I mentioned this yesterday in another one of our discussions that wasn't streamed, but I like that indie studios like Ninja Theory are the ones kind of in this position to tackle subjects like mental illness, something that a lot of AAA games and publishers might stay away from, and that they seem to have stuck the landing as an even higher endorsement for Hellblade.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to shout them out early in this stream, just because I think they did something really unique this year, and that kind of it goes to the Shacknews Awards that we're currently working on for sure. So I think David had the idea for the format of this show. Is we just kind of go around, and we ask everyone what their game of the year is, and I figure let's start with Ozzy, because he's our senior editor anyway. So.
That's right.
We'll go with Ozzy.
I had a lot of trouble with this, and I know I wanted to think about what am I going to give it to? Am I going to give it to Zelda, or am I going to give it to Mario? And I mentioned this to you guys briefly yesterday, but what it came down to for me is, what game was I just not able to put down? Like, what did I end up going back to? What did I feel better about walking away from? And at the end of the day, Mario is such a joyous platformer, and just just makes me so happy to play that I couldn't stop going back to it. I can't stop looking for Power Moons are such an addiction, and I can't stop going through all the worlds, just admiring how beautifully designed they are, and just like how much fun they are to run through, and getting to use a lot of those powers, a lot of those Cappy powers, and just getting to just kind of exploring those worlds and seeing like what Nintendo has, how much love they put into those environments. And for me, I love Zelda, and I've always been a Zelda guy first and foremost. But man, it's as much as I love Breath of the Wild, I've been able to take weeks off at a time from Breath of the Wild and be okay with myself. I can't take more than more than a day off of Mario Odyssey, and it comes down to that for me for Game of the Year, to be honest.
Damn, that's a really good point Ozzy's making. Because throughout my playthrough, it took me months to beat Breath of the Wild.
Mm-hmm.
And I would get past the Divine Beast, and I would put it down for like a month almost.
Right.
And then come back to it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas he's right. With Mario Odyssey, it's like crack ever since this came out. It's like... I was yelling at Greg on one of our Shackcasts. I was like, play 5 minutes of Mario Odyssey a day.
Yeah.
Just that much. And you'll be a happier person.
And here's the thing, both of those games have like frustrating moments. Like I hit the darker side of the moon yesterday in Mario Odyssey, and that's probably the most frustrating part of the game, just because it's really time consuming to get that last level. And then if you get to the end and you die, you have to start the whole thing over again.
Yep.
And yeah, I put it down for like 5 minutes. And then I thought to myself, I probably could do it if I tried. I probably could actually make this happen. And so, like, that's not a feeling I've gotten with a lot of other Mario games, because this is not the first time a Mario game's done that. Like the last level for 3D World and for Galaxy 2, like those are incredibly difficult. And if you die towards the end of like that 15-minute trek, you have to start the whole thing over again. And that's where I'm just like, you know what, I'm out. I'm done. But this time around, I didn't get that. I think they made it just attainable enough where it's just like, okay, I'm willing to give this a shot. I'm willing to try out like the hardest this game has to offer, except for the Koopa races. Fuck the Koopa races. Like, those can go to hell. But other than that, I'm willing to try just about anything in Mario Odyssey.
Are you just mad that I'm beating you on the leaderboards in several Koopa races? Is it that?
It's not that. I got to I got to, I don't know if it was Bubble Lane Kingdom or like one of them, where I tried the Koopa race and it was just it was balls hard and it wasn't even fun. So I'm saving that for last, if possible.
Did you see the glitch for the jump rope where you can get 99,999?
I tried to pull off the glitch. It's not working for me.
It's hard. You have to throw your cap behind the bird, have it hit him in the head right as you click A to talk to him. And then you know what's even harder?
Getting 100 in the jump rope.
Yeah. Yeah, but it completely ruined the leaderboard for that.
Yeah.
I don't know. That game is... It really is tough. I'm a super mega Nintendo fanboy, so I got into this industry writing for a Nintendo fan site. So yeah, I have, as Haxum has pointed out, he's like, might as well rebrand the site to Nintendo Power. All sorts of things about,
I'd be okay with that, but
I'm not against it. I'm not against it.
So I'm like, I understand the criticism, but Nintendo's
we lose
awesome.
Chris, but...
Chris,
and a couple of other people, but
Chris could talk about the NVIDIA parts inside the Nintendo console. But
you guys don't speak for me.
It's just really tough to hate Nintendo first-party games.
Yeah.
I think in general, they do such a quality job with their IPs, and it's mostly just by not when stuff isn't broken, they don't need to fix it. And that's kind of what it boils down to for games like Mario and Zelda.
I think what I love most about Nintendo's games is that they are still games. They're not trying to be something more. They're just still these giant sandboxes and toy boxes. Mm-hmm. And Mario Odyssey is definitely that.
Yeah, I think there's something about the level design in Odyssey though that it really it has me excited about Mario like I was when 64 came out, or Sunshine, like some of my favorite ones of the 3D variety. Mm-hmm. And it's
because there's so much to do, and they give you like so many different ways to approach it. It's not like Mario 64 where you're basically given your 6 stars, you do your 6 things, you're done with that level, you move on. Mm-hmm. There's a lot more to do, and there's a lot more to explore, and it rewards you for experimenting. You feel satisfied about like, okay, what if I like go here and just like do a butt stomp here and like, hey, a moon popped out. Like it rewards you for like kind of thinking outside the box a little bit. And I haven't gotten that from like past 3D Mario games.
Yeah, and it's just really fun. I play it every day, Ozzy, and it's the toughest game of the year decision for me because it's like 2 of my favorite franchises. Well, I'll get into my decision later, but I definitely understand how someone could think that's the best game to come out this year. You know, it's extremely high quality. It's the best looking Mario we've ever had, and Cappy might be the ultimate power up.
Yeah.
And plus, I like that it kind of took the formulaic Bowser fight and kind of turned it on its head towards the end. Like, it started off as like the usual Bowser fight, and then like at the end, it's like, okay, he actually threw a curveball at me, and I really enjoyed that. So.
Yeah, the first ending of the game before the massive post game, the largest post game in the history of a Mario game, right?
And that's the thing, like just the post game alone is just incredible. Like, I'm so used to just beating Bowser and just kind of putting the game down for a little bit. Mm-hmm. I haven't felt the urge to find everything since Mario 64, mm-hmm. and really not only brought that feeling back, but made me wonder whether I can it actually challenges me to actually do it. And I don't even know if I can, but I'm going to try. I feel the urge to try.
How many Power Moons are there? Do we know yet?
There are 999.
999? Can I?
Yeah.
So I can buy some from the store, right?
Yes, but you cannot buy all of them.
But at some
point... But that's the thing. But that's the other thing. You got to get the coins.
Yeah. No, that's a very good point, Ozzy. You do have to get... You have to get 100 coins, I think, to buy a star.
Yeah.
So it's not
it's 100 coins each, and then I think you get something for buying all the costumes too.
Mm-hmm.
So the costumes are really expensive. This is the other thing. At least getting coins doesn't just mean getting an extra life. Which, by the way, doing away with the life system is huge. Yep. Like, I'm so happy about that. About like getting to a really hard part of the game. It's like, oh, I ran out of lives. Oh, gotta start over. That they finally got rid of that, which thank God. You know,
kind of on that note, like, I love a lot of the quality of life improvements that Nintendo's introduced. Like, in most cases, when you get a moon, it doesn't kick you back out to a hub world. It's just like, hey, you got this, and then you just keep going.
Exactly. Yeah.
There've been so many times. Yeah, there've been so many times since Mario 64 where I'm like, okay, I know the objective. Oh, but what's over here? I got a star, and then it kicks me out, and I forget what I was doing. But now in this, I can go over here, you know, kind of indulge my ADD, go grab that star, and then keep right on playing. And I think that is a huge part of that game's appeal for me. Is a lot of, you know, sanding down rough edges that Nintendo has been working on since September 1996.
I think if they had kept a lot of those old tropes that they were so clinging onto for so long, if they had kept the live system, if they had kept that whole thing where you get kicked out to the hub world, I don't think it would be as good a game as it is right now. Yeah. Like, it's little things like that just kind of put it over the top.
It's interesting because those tropes do have their place in certain contexts. Like, I think, you know, Super Mario 3D Land or 3D World without lives really wouldn't work because that's one of the obstacles you're supposed to work around in those pure platformers. And Mario Odyssey is not a pure platformer, which is not to say anything against it. It's just that I think you're right. Lives wouldn't work in that sort of game.
Yeah. Like a 2D Mario, it's fine.
Yes.
Like, because, you know, it's not the same thing. You're not exploring. Right. It's linear. You're trying to get from start to finish. Like, that's a different thing.
Right.
Yeah, it is pretty good. I don't want to spoil anything. I can't. There's so much I want to talk about that I won't, because there's like so many spoilers. And I know spoilers in a Mario game, right?
Yeah, that's still weird to me.
But they exist, and I don't want to ruin it for anyone. So there's just things about it that, for a fan of the series since it first started, it just makes you feel good. And I think that one thing we haven't talked about yet is that 2D aspect of gameplay in Odyssey, where they just interweave it.
The 2D sections are brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Their design.
It's like a huge celebration of that.
Yeah.
The history.
And how some of them will even incorporate like the gravity elements of Galaxy, which is awesome. Like some of them like put you upside down and everything, and like someone will have you running up like sideways, and they're all beautifully designed.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that was like one thing about it that goes beyond just a quality of life improvement. I think it was just like true innovation in what they did. Yeah. And I think also kind of what was that 3DS game, the Zelda one, A Link Between Worlds?
Between Worlds, yeah.
I think they kind of saw something there and were like, oh, that's cool. You can go around corners with your 2D.
There's a lot of cross-pollination between Nintendo's EAD teams.
Right.
You know, a lot of employees kind of shift between Mario and Zelda.
I think they saw that. They're
Yeah.
like, what about that but Mario?
Yeah. This was a year of reinvention for Nintendo. They redefined, they reinvented the definition of home console. They reinvented Mario.
Yeah, they took the
reinvented
Wii U
Zelda.
out back and shot it.
Yeah, but they kept the gamepad.
They're like, everything we learned about the gamepad we'll keep.
Yeah,
But I think this was a transformative year for Nintendo.
yeah,
And I think the games industry as a result, because it showed that this convergence device there's high demand for.
yeah.
When there's the right software on it.
By the way, I want to shout out to chat really quick. The guy that's bringing up Cuphead. Don't worry, I am fighting for Cuphead for Indie of the Year. We're getting to that.
Yeah, the Shacknews Awards are still, we're still deliberating quite a few of them.
We are.
But we've made some decisions, and we're still having heated debates. We thought we would broadcast the Game of the Year one,
Yeah.
so we could really get angry at each other for the holidays. And then
Right before we all take the holiday off.
yeah,
That's right.
So just
Or so, I hate that guy. No, I'm gonna play some PUBG tonight. I because it's coming out
No, you're not.
I
tomorrow
don't believe
morning.
that.
Tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I might believe that.
Tomorrow morning, I'm
I
gonna play
thought,
some PUBG.
I thought the 20th. This is December 20th. I thought this was 1.0 day. You mean to tell me that this early access game isn't done yet?
It will be if you live on the West Coast.
Okay.
At 11 p.m. on the West Coast,
Ah.
they're gonna try to deploy this,
Oh, they're gonna try. Okay.
and then maybe by 2
Make
a.m.
your,
Mm-hmm.
on the
make
console,
yourself a
I'm gonna be on my Xbox One early access version.
make yourself a nice chicken dinner. Sit down and play the game. There you go.
No, that you have to earn that. You don't
Yeah,
just
you gotta earn the
Yeah, how do
sit
you?
down.
Yeah, you can't just
Chicken dinners are for winners.
Yeah,
I have a feeling
you
that
gotta
you
win.
have to play
You
this
gotta win.
game.
That's
You gotta
why
win
that
before you
version
can eat.
exists. Winner, chicken dinner.
Yeah,
But
but see,
I don't have
you
that.
eat
I
it
have
after
that.
you win.
So does anyone else want to basically
Yeah.
say that Mario is Game of the Year here? Because I want, let's wrap up the Mario discussion. And
I'm not willing to say that Mario is my game of the year, but I'm 100% behind Ozzy and that I would pick it 10 times out of 10 over Zelda for game of the year.
Ooh.
Crabs.
I don't know about
It's
that.
not time to keep the gloves on. We're keeping the gloves on.
I mean, I can
Really?
I can make up a different opinion too. That's cool.
Okay.
If you really want me to be an asshole, I also think Mario XCOM I liked more than Zelda as well.
I mean,
Ooh,
that's a good game.
it is.
Yep, we got Word. Word is up in arms in the chat over Crab's comment. He believes Zelda is greater than Mario.
Well,
It's a
he's-
tough decision, man. Like it's not like they're both great.
Yeah.
You,
I don't know.
you love all your kids, but you love them for different reasons.
I have favorite kids.
They're both. Well,
You don't have any kids.
well,
No, in this discussion, I definitely do.
Your favorite kid is Zelda.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's. I guess at some point it becomes about personal preference, right?
It does.
And
It does.
and what people value in a game.
Yeah.
So there's some scenes in Breath of the Wild where the frame rate drops materially, and that hasn't happened to me in Mario Odyssey. And it's because Breath of the Wild was designed for Wii U,
Right.
and then they ported it over to Switch. That is the one blemish on the game. That's why it didn't get a 10 out of 10, right? Other than that, it's an excellent game with whole new gameplay mechanics, and I don't know. It's Grand Theft Hyrule. That's how I described it.
It is.
But Mario itself is very good. I understand that argument, but it does, to me, it came down to those two games.
Yeah.
And the more I play Mario, the more I understand Ozzy and Chris's argument. But Zelda, to me, there's just moments in it where I'm like, yeah, this is my game of the year. This is these moments are what I play games for.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when you get the Master Sword in Zelda, it feels like I felt like I won the game.
Yeah. It's a pretty big deal getting the sword in that game.
I got the Master Sword. Oh wait, it doesn't work. Hang on, I gotta wait for it to recharge, guys.
Yeah.
so as far as Zelda versus Mario is concerned, I'm not voting for either for my game of the year, but I will say that Mario is the game that got me to buy a Switch, not Zelda. And and part of that is just because I'm old and I love A Link to the Past, and I didn't really get into the N64 Zeldas ever, but
and I wanted to buy a
that's just my
Switch.
feeling.
I would agree with that sentiment as well. That of all the stuff that they showed, Mario Odyssey was the thing from the opening seconds of Nintendo's first reveal. Was it last year's Christmas Direct or sometime around then?
It was January. They showed off Mario Odyssey for the first time.
Yeah, like I sat there with a real dumb look on my face and couldn't have been any happier. And I mean, I knew that Zelda would be great, but I mean, Mario.
Yeah, no, Mario is always like joy in a bottle.
I mean, Mario does like 10x the sales of Zelda.
Yeah, it's a much
Zelda
more accessible.
Yeah, Zelda's always been a smaller fan base. It's huge. It's millions of people.
Yeah.
But Mario's like at times it's done 20 million sales, 40 million sales.
Mm-hmm.
So it's it's the flagship video game franchise.
It is.
So
it's approaching PUBG sales numbers.
I don't know. I'd actually. I could pull up those numbers for you, but I'm not.
Have they really sold more than 25 million Switches?
No. PUBG has sold 25 million units.
That's just on the PC.
That's impressive.
Yeah, I like buying games that are finished.
But Mario
I'm weird
Odyssey,
that way.
by the time the Switch is done, it'll sell more than 25 million.
Yeah.
It's going to have a
Oh,
huge
no doubt.
attach rate to it.
Absolutely.
I mean,
I mean, the Switch.
And PUBG will not sell a copy in 2018, so it'll catch it sooner than later.
The Switch is already close to selling 13 million units, outselling the Wii U just in its first year alone. So
Yeah, it took
Yeah.
the
That
Wii U
number
5
is-
years for that.
Yeah.
And yeah, the attach rate on Nintendo consoles is way higher because the first party software is compelling. It goes back to what we're saying. It's really, I think it's a treat that we got two
It absolutely is. Yeah.
quality first party franchises from Nintendo in a launch year.
Yeah.
And it speaks to this decision that they made to make a convergence device. They didn't have to make a 3D land and a 3D world.
Mm-hmm.
They could focus their Mario team on one game. Same thing with Zelda. Same thing with all their core franchises.
Yeah.
That's why we saw
Yeah.
Splatoon this year. That's why we're gonna see a Smash DX next year.
Mm.
Like I just think that,
Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Mario Kart came out this
The
year.
best
Yeah.
Mario Kart on the Switch.
yeah, it's like maybe the best Mario Kart ever made, and they gave it battle mode finally. But yeah, I think that there's something to be said about that decision and how it created this really difficult problem. I remember when they launched, I was like, Mario Odyssey's gonna get delayed. It's like, if I don't mind Nintendo, they'll rip my heart out sometime in September.
I remember at E3 last year when they
Yeah.
revealed Zelda, a lot of people asked like, "Oh, well, what's the next Mario game like?" And Miyamoto said, "Oh, you'll probably hear something about that next year." And that made me think, "Oh, well, then surely we'll get it in 2018."
Mm-hmm.
The fact that I think that it's unprecedented. I don't think they've ever released a new Mario and a new Zelda in the same year in the States. I think
Yeah.
that happened in Japan in like '86 or something. But yeah, and for both of them to be so good is pretty awesome.
Yeah, and Shaven Ewok in the chat just brought up Xenoblade 2. He didn't expect that this year either.
No.
To have that many games hit Switch that were first party is kind of amazing.
Yeah. Nintendo really responded to the complaint that there weren't enough games on Wii U. First party support and third party support this year. We're not even a year in yet. We're 9 months into the Switch, and
I think they also addressed the hardcore gamer thing.
yes,
Because they're like, you want indie games? Here you go.
we'll get more into this later. But Zelda is, I would say, that sort of hardcore game. It is not a kid friendly game in a way that Zelda games have been for years. There's a reason. One of the reasons Mario always outsells Zelda is because Mario is palatable for all ages. Breath of the Wild is not, I would
Yeah.
say.
Yeah, and Mario is accessible to all ages, but it's also really hard if you want to dive 100% into it. It will challenge.
It's I definitely agree with that, Ozzy. I think one thing that Mario games have done really well, I think since the new Super Mario Brothers series started, is that I have my issues with that series, but that was kind of the point where Nintendo kind of figured out a balance of how to have Mario games appeal to everybody. You have the main levels, which are mostly pretty easy, but then you have finding the hidden coins. Then you have the post game challenges, which is where you really crack your knuckles and dig into platforming. And I know, Odyssey has a lot of those same challenge levels, so that it's accessible for everybody, but then there will come a point when hardcore gamers are like, yes, this is my Mario. Harkens back to Mario 3, Mario World levels of skill required to solve some of the challenges.
There's there's another thing that I mentioned in the review, and that was it's really easy to spam the Peach Amiibo and just keep giving yourself 6 hearts. And yeah, on the one hand, that's sort of cheap, but it also does add that little accessibility to younger audiences, to casual players. And then there are other sections where that won't even matter. Like try to get through this platforming section without falling. And see how far your 6 hearts get to there.
Yep.
So on the one hand, it's a cool addition, and then it's not as game breaking as it looks. Like it can be, but it's not as much as it is. Like now that I've had more time with it, it's like it doesn't quite break the game like I thought it did.
It doesn't, but it also, to me, it follows a running theme. Nintendo's theme for 2017 is this is gaming your way. You can play the Switch docked portable. You can play it your way. Zelda is all about solving puzzles and exploring and combat your way.
Or you can
so
beat
is
it in
Mario.
45 minutes.
Or you can beat it in 45 minutes. It's all about, even using the amiibo, I agree with Ozzy, it's not cheap. It's about, this is my adventure, this is my game, I'm going to use this. And that's fine. That's their running theme for this year.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think that wraps up the case for Mario. It's a solid case, Ozzy.
It is.
Let's see. Who should we pick next? I kind of want to go PUBG first before you talk about how much you love Zelda.
Okay. Sure.
Is there anyone here who thinks PUBG is Game of the Year?
Do you really want to hear
I
this?
did not play it. I've not played PUBG ever. It is not my kind of game at all. But you can respect what it's done and its popularity.
Absolutely.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
Chris, what is your
And
Game of the Year?
how it's innovating the genre, like how we're going to see a lot of Battle Royale knockoffs in the next 5 years.
Yeah. Even this very episode of on Shacknews Twitch is a ripoff of a Battle Royale.
We're piggybacking right now.
We're doing it right now, guys.
That's right.
Should I be worried about being sniped in my
Always.
apartment?
If I need that chicken dinner, Blake, I will snipe you.
We're going to come
Oh,
to
damn.
Oakland
I'm
and
sorry.
cap your
It's,
ass.
it's nothing personal.
Oh man, yeah, come to Oakland, tough guys. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, geez, Oakland. Never mind.
All
Never
right.
mind.
Yeah.
Chris, what is your game of the year?
I want to go with PUBG.
And
Really?
Yes, really.
Okay.
I guess the argument would start with 2 main things I would have going for it, which would be the ability for it to kind of make stories out of thin air or experiences that are unique each time it's played, and the tension. And as far as the second one, I'd go back 10 years to the first Stalker game. Came out of Eastern Europe. Most parts about it were broken. The shooting didn't feel right. Everything was buggy. Stuff didn't go well. But the game, as you progress through it, continued, or it started with a tiny bit of tension and unease. And as you move through the game, up through the end, it kept ratcheting up slowly, to the point where even in times where you knew you were safe, you felt an extra weight on your back that never left you. Some of the best survival horror games, like David was talking about with some of the Resident Evil games, even though they have a lot of jump scares that come out and cut bits of it temporarily, still kind of goes up. And I feel like a lot of the best movies, from going all the way back to when they started making movies, have been thrillers of that type, and the best ones slowly ratchet up tension over the course of the running time to where you start comfortable and then slowly build up into a crescendo. And I think that PUBG is just like any of the best thriller movies or things you've seen, in that there are rounds where you may have it where you don't see anybody for 10 or 12 minutes while you loot and things like that, but there's always the ever-persistent threat that at any moment you're going to take a bullet to the back of the neck or get hit with a pan or whatever. And every round is different, but if you're fortunate enough or good enough to progress in each round, you're given a chance to experience tension that really few other games have ever been able to produce, even in small 2 or 3 minute quantities. And you have the potential for this every single time you jump into one of these 30 or 40 minute rounds. And you get towards the end of the round, and sometimes it gets to the point where I've noticed my hands have been sweating. I feel uncomfortable, heart rate increases. And I know that it'll be over in a few minutes because none of the rounds last that long. But I just can't think of any other game I've played, not just this year, but anytime, where I can consistently elicit that kind of reaction from myself, at least the way my body feels playing, the way my mind goes through it. Going back a couple years to when the DayZ mod came out, it had a lot of the same issues that PUBG does now, where things are janky, the movement doesn't go well, sometimes going out of buildings is not great. But it did the great thing of building up on a sense of tension, and it gave me the same kind of reactions, sweaty palms, and people go and pay good money to ride roller coasters or go to haunted houses to get a chance to feel something, and we'll pay good money over and over. And I feel like we've been privileged this year to have something that had a little bit of mass market appeal that did the same thing. And I think that's the big reason, more so than the way the Battle Royale game mode is set up itself with the shrinking circle and all that. I think that the circle helps distill the thing down into maybe the junk food form of the experience I'm trying to have. Like what DayZ did well, sometimes it would take 5, 6, 7, 8 hours for a cycle of it to come to a head, or even longer. And PUBG has kind of distilled that feeling or experience down into short 20 to 40-minute chunks that people can go through and experience over and over and over again. And despite all the problems it's got, and there's plenty of them, server lag, performance issues, whatever, the reason that 25 million people have jumped on it, even if their machines can't run it right, or things like that, is they're in chase of that feeling, and they get it over and over again. And then you add that with the unpredictable nature of the way the rounds go. You never really know what's going to happen, whether you play solo, whether you play duos or in a squad. Any game has the potential to be one of the most amazing gaming stories in your life, and you never know when it's going to come. It may not happen for 10 or 12 rounds. It may happen 2 rounds in a row. And I think that's just the one thing that it does. And in my opinion, that's the reason that it's been latched onto. It's the reason that people continue to watch it on Twitch. More people are probably watching than there are playing, because the way the rounds unfold, people can empathize with the streamer and they can see what's going on. And the whole thing just gives you a chance to be a part of it. And I guess that's my argument for it. Outside of all the problems.
The more I watch it, the more it does make me want to jump in, and the more it looks like something crazy is always going to happen. Like if you play through a game, like something different is going to happen. You're not going to have the same experience twice, and that's something I can really appreciate.
Yeah, I think you actually just talked me into buying that game, because I like the slant of it evokes emotions commonly associated with survival horror. That is one of my favorite genres, and I can see how PUBG could be kind of conflated with those types of games. The fact that you can make temporary alliances, but it comes down to one a sole survivor, and so those sorts of things can erode. And I really like the idea of kind of player-driven storytelling. The fact that no other experience will ever be the same. I think that's a really interesting angle from which to view that game.
And the thing I mentioned where it's like the junk food version, like early in the year, around January, they were running their early access pre-alpha stuff for people who've been into it. I had heard the game was being made, but I had never looked into it, and some YouTuber posted a video where they said that people who played the old DayZ mod and Breaking Point mod, which me and my group of friends were still playing regularly to get that kind of same experience. And former Shacknews employee Stay Mighty was able to snatch a couple of keys for us, and the group kind of started playing. And we immediately kind of felt some of the same things we got from the DayZ mod and the Breaking Point mod. And at first, a few of us weren't sure about how the things went as far as the way the rounds were short. Like, we kind of felt maybe that we didn't play the same because we didn't value our lives as much, as there wasn't much to lose from Breaking Point or something like that. But, night after night, we kept at it, and we thought that it would be, a big thing for us to keep playing. But the idea that it would kind of take over, at least for PC, everything, never could have seen that coming. But I understand how it happened, and that it's a lot of people's first experience or opportunity at, getting to that kind of tension-filled experience, I guess. And that's why I have to go with it for this year, just because no other game made me feel that way. And it just does it consistently over and over, even when I hate it and it crashes or whatever else. Like it's like crack. I need that next hit of that feeling that it gives me. I need those sweaty palms. And so I'll leave it on that.
That's an interesting argument. Let me pose a question to you that might be difficult to answer. I think Zelda, Mario, and PUBG all have one thing in common, and that is that their systems, their gameplay, everything about them has been so successful that they're going to be replicated and maybe emulated. We've already seen that with PUBG. Battle Royale is the new hot thing. Fortnite implemented the Battle Royale road. Chris, what do you think it is about PUBG that will keep people sticking with it versus other, the slew of knockoffs that are bound to come and are already coming? Or will people stick with PUBG, would be another way to phrase it.
There's no way for me to say.
Yeah.
I mean, my group jumped over to it because at the time, everything we had done had been based on the ARMA engine, and as great as it is at a few things, it's absolute dog shit at about 65 other things, and we were so tired of just problems we'd had going back years and years.
Mhm.
PUBG kind of gave us the same opportunity on Unreal Engine, which was real good at a few things, but there are other stuff that, every engine has its pros and cons, but we felt as a group that we were able to accept its flaws for the improvements it made and the strides it made in other areas. Like, it's a stupid example, but in the DayZ mod and Breaking Point, the way you interacted with levels, climbing things, going through doors, you could break your neck just opening a door because it's so buggy and stupid. And we could play PUBG and we could go through doors or climb ladders without having to worry about dying. And so we kind of jumped over to it, even though we realized it's a jank fest. It is what it is, And I don't believe that the Unreal Engine.
That's a low
Yeah,
bar.
well, I mean, the Unreal version of this same idea is still a jank fest, and I don't think the engine is all that great at handling 100 people. I mean, case in point,
Yeah.
I don't think the Xbox version is ever going to run the thing smoothly. I think they're going to have to pare it down to 50 people or somewhere around there to get the original Xbox to keep it in any sort of steady frame rate and to keep the servers from taking a dump, assuming the Azure backend can handle all that. But like I said, it's a unique experience I'm not getting from anywhere else. If somebody else tomorrow launches something, doesn't even have to be a battle royale game, just something else that gives me that feeling, I'll jump to it immediately and have no regrets of leaving PUBG. But I can't discount what it's given me over the course of this year and where it stands now. I'm excited to jump into 1.0 tonight because I've seen a lot of the performance updates and things like that that'll make the game better, quality of life stuff. The ability to vault and move through the environment is a lot better. So we'll see how it goes.
So that's a solid case.
Yeah. ...
I
mean,
Oh,
vaulting,
yeah, I forgot.
adding vaulting. There's plenty of games that should
Yeah,
have vaulting.
there's plenty of games where you can vault, and I mean, in Battlefield series, probably since going back to Battlefield 3 or 4, you've been able to jump over fences and go over rocks, and it's been smooth and felt absolutely perfect and everything you want. And in PUBG, it's not. It maybe feels like 15% as good as that, but the thing that it brought to the gameplay and the way it works is exponentially more important and more impactful in the game than when it was added into something like Battlefield or Call of Duty.
Yeah, the reason that
So-
we're doing our Game of the Year deliberations so late is that I wanted PUBG to ship so we could actually consider it as a 1.0 game. And I know it's been on the PTR, but this will be the actual shipped game.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we didn't want to set a precedent where an early access game could win Game of the Year. I think
The other thing I noticed, I guess on the big end, now that it's shipped close to 25 million copies, is that it shows, unlike years past, that maybe not everybody that bought it could run it smoothly, but that the idea that there are 25 million capable gaming computers at the bare minimum, where that market has not been there in years past, shows that at least the platform itself has reached a level that I wouldn't have ever guessed even 2 or 3 years back.
it reminds me of a game that, I know it didn't have a similar level of success or anything, but 3 years ago, Rocket League came out, or about 3 years ago, and that was a juggernaut of a multiplayer game, and it gave people a new experience. And I think, Chris, it might have given me that sweaty palms feeling, that adrenaline rush.
Oh yeah,
And I feel like PUBG had that same kind of juggernaut status, and it just kept going. Why I think it'll always be here is that it surpassed Dota and CSGO in concurrent players on Steam. Unless they do something horrible to this game, I don't see it. It's going. Someday a game will be more popular than it on Steam, but I think that it has a brand at this point, and that rarely happens. We don't just have game companies pop out of thin air with a new brand every year. You know,
Yeah.
they're giving us another Halo, another Call of Duty. You know, and it's a
At least
shooter.
on
And it's a shooter at a time where many shooters are kind of boring. PUBG is anything but boring to me. You know, it's a very
And I know they really got kind of pissy with Epic Games kind of stealing, kind of not even stealing, but kind of like taking elements of the idea for Fortnite. But that might be the best thing that's ever happened to them, because Fortnite's going to keep pushing them to be better. Like they're not just going to like kind of rest on the concept and just go from there. They're going to keep building on it for years and years. The same way that Fortnite is going to be building on the concept.
I don't know that I want to go on the
better
record saying that. Sorry.
But yeah, they're gonna keep pushing each other to be a better and better game, and I think that's gonna be a good thing for everybody, and it's definitely gonna be a good thing for PUBG in the long run.
Competition drives innovation, right? So
You guys have more faith in Bluehole than I do.
yeah,
I mean, it's PUBG Corp now, and at some point in the future, it could be acquired. You know, I think that they're a company that, if someone wants to buy Instant Cool and you're a game company, you could just acquire PUBG Corp. But yeah, no, I don't know. I think that brand's here to stay though, and I think it couldn't have happened to like a nicer person. I think like PlayerUnknown's actually a guy that people want to root for because he was Chris knows he was just he did an Arma mod, and like this happened. It's kind of cool. Like he was out of the industry for a while. He was doing music, doing other stuff, and like it's just cool that he made something that he personally wanted, inspired by games that I think were more realistic than a lot of other shooters. And it's interesting to me at a time where you have Activision spending God knows how much on Call of Duty development and Destiny 2 development.
Yeah.
Right? And then you have Bethesda with Quake Champions this year, Lawbreakers, they had their thing. And then you have little scrappy PUBG that comes out of nowhere and makes a better game than all of them. We're not sitting here talking about any of those other shooters.
Right.
And I think that speaks to how great this game is. It definitely deserves to be in consideration. It's definitely going to be in my top 3 or 5 games this year.
I'm interested in hearing from you, Asif, because you're kind of... I'm not looking, for people to dogpile PUBG, but every time you've talked about it with me, you haven't been really down on it, but you didn't seem to have quite the same experiences that Chris and a lot of, 25 million other people have.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to like first-person shooters. I was a Quake player back in the day. I liked Halo 2, some of Halo 3. I liked Reach. I liked parts of Destiny 1. I think Overwatch is a fine game. I love Doom. So I like shooters. So I went into it when it was still third-person perspective, and I played it, and I was like, it felt... I went into it with my like, okay, it's early access. But I ran into a lot of the jank early on, and I also just felt like I don't know, it was tough. It was tough in the streets for me. I wasn't very good at it. I was like, you know what, I don't know, I'm going to come back to this. So I just kind of have been watching it from afar. The thing about me is I enjoy watching it more than I do playing it, I think. I find it more entertaining to watch people get into scenarios or the clips that Shackers post on the chatty than I do actually creating it myself. But I don't know. It might just be I need to get good. I'm not really sure. But I had more fun in that game driving around on a motorcycle than I did trying to win. And I think that speaks to why I like Breath of the Wild, why I'm a big fan of the GTA series. I know they kind of messed it up with online, but I enjoyed that game. So you have a game like as polished as GTA 5, right? And it ships, and it doesn't have 100 people in it, but it still has an online component.
Right.
That to me that was the thing that I was like, this isn't perfect, and it goes back to what we started the show with, talking about what a 10 out of 10 is. Like, it's funny to hear, we in Slack chat or whatever, Chris and I go back and forth about the technical issues with Zelda. It's funny to see someone kind of sweep the technical issues that PUBG faces under the rug because they're trying to do something new. And I'm like, at the same time, I don't know. Like to me, it's like Zelda could be flawed in Game of the Year, and PUBG could also be flawed in Game of the Year. But it's just not my favorite game to come out this year. I've played it. I've probably played more Quake Champions than PUBG.
Well, how much of that is time waiting between matches in Quake Champions?
Hours.
Yeah. Okay.
I agree with everything you said about it being an absolute garbage shooter, especially if you come into it from the perspective of, enjoying first-person shooters. Like, all that stuff, even going back to the DayZ mod, I mean, the only thing good about the shooting in that were the ballistic system, the movement, everything else about it was garbage. It was just something we did. We fought around all that other stuff because we wanted to get to the bits where the feeling came through. That sounds like a condom commercial, but that's not how I meant it.
Yeah, this is more about getting to the survival part and less about the actual.
Yeah, I guess the tension is the thing I keep coming back to. We're looking for that, and when we played the mod back then, we usually got murdered by other groups of people or whatever, and sometimes we might make our own little thing up that we try to do little missions, even though it's not a part of the game. But just jumping into PUBG now because it's here, it's what people are playing, and like I said, it distills those moments into a way that I can get them quickly over and over, even if there's a lot of the things I hate about the way it's designed. I'm not a huge fan of the shrinking circle. The Battle Royale game mode, at least, is how it is. But no other game that's out now is giving me that tension and that experience the way I want it. So that's why I'm with PUBG.
Yeah. I definitely think it's the best multiplayer game to come out this year. Like, I know Charles might have a different feeling about that.
Repeat that last part.
I think PUBG is the best multiplayer game to come out this year.
I will agree with that. And one
Okay.
thing, when I lost my connection earlier, and I missed some of it, but one thing I wanted to throw out there is, while there are some gameplay elements that have been around, like I think y'all mentioned the vaulting and how that's been in Battlefield or whatever, none of these other games give us an experience like what PUBG has, where I can drop onto an island by myself or with my friends and have the complete freedom to go anywhere on that island, find whatever weapons, customize them, and survive and apply whatever strategy I want. Though those other games don't even do that. Fortnite actually technically doesn't do all of that because it doesn't have any driving in it yet, and the map size is not even close. But Fortnite is a conversation we'll have later.
Okay.
Because there's some we'll talk about with that. It has its own great elements to it as well. As a matter of fact, I think we're seeing the evolution of the Battle Royale formula with that game. I don't think it's as blatant of just a carbon copy like people make it out to be, but we'll get to that. But I love what PUBG offers. I completely understand it being in the Game of the Year conversation. No, it does not win Game of the Year for me, but it will be. You can look at my Steam like hours played, and I'd be hard pressed to say that I haven't enjoyed it. I've played a shit ton of that game ever since it came out, and I do enjoy it. I don't know. It feels like if this makes sense, it feels like a companion to all my other games. Like I put time into this RPG and this shooter, and in the in-between time, I play PUBG. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I have fun, for sure. But yeah, it definitely has its issues, but it'll get better over time.
Yeah, this is a game that it's going to have a 2.0, a 3.0, a 4.0. There's no PUBG 2 coming out. He's going to evolve this game for a long time.
Yeah.
It's a lot like Rocket League in that sense, where it'll be a different game 2 years from now than it is today. And that's why I don't think the risk of another company coming in and out PUBGing them, I think, is low. But they're going to try. Call of Duty Battle Royale next year. But I think
I think they'll get swept off, not anytime soon, but I think it'll be by someone else, and I don't necessarily think it'll be a battle royale. I think that too many people are being focused on the design of the game mode as the reason that people are jumping into it, rather than
how it makes you feel.
The unspoken things, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, the battle royale stuff, it's all right. Like I keep mentioning Breaking Point and DayZ. All that stuff was usually 50 people, sometimes 40 people or less, on a much bigger map. Even though it did a lot of the same things, and without the shrinking stuff. But I mean, someone will come along and just do a more polished version of it, and I have a feeling that most people will jump to it. I mean, this game will never lose a certain amount of people, but
Star Wars Battle Royale next year.
Oh, that'll certainly happen. And it's going to be awful. As bad as it is on the mobile right now with all the clones, it'll be just as bad this time of the year, next year on Steam.
They need to make it 50 Ewoks versus 50 Stormtroopers or something.
DayZ
like
had the same issue, and there's still like 65 games in early access that are trying to capitalize on that either won't come out or, whatever it is.
So, anyone else have positive things to say about PUBG? Fuzzy feelings about PUBG? Interpretive dances about PUBG?
Interpretive emotes.
Do anyone want to give PUBG their energy? No? Okay.
Should we write some haikus really quick?
No, it's too late for that. Maybe in the chat.
Well, yeah, the chat. Just write your
favorite.
PUBG haikus.
Yeah, PUBG haikus. Okay,
Also, Hollow Knight. What?
yeah.
If PUBG don't make it, I'm sending my boys Hollow Knight Game of the Year.
Yeah, I think they're being left out of a lot of other websites' consideration. Hollow Knight, and it'll probably be a top 5 game for me. It's a great platformer, Metroidvania kind of game, and I think its name hurts it because people think it's like a Shovel Knight expansion or something.
That's the first thing I thought of. Not an expansion, but like Hollow Knight, Shovel Knight, maybe some sort of platformer, 2D platformer.
But yeah, that's a small dev studio that made an excellent game, and they deserve some credit for it.
Mm-hmm.
No one's paying attention to chat. I'm paying attention to chat, Bad Kitty. Yes, Lola's sitting here panting. She's not shining shoes. I'm reading. I'm just trying to talk to these folks about video games. Yeah, that's got to be Lola breathing.
That's Lola.
Yeah, definitely.
We
we
need
were
to talk
talking.
to the Mojo folks about their feelings. I feel like they're being underrepresented here.
Who? The Modojo folks.
I was just going to ask,
Yeah.
BV, what is your favorite game of the year?
You'll never see it coming. Persona 5.
Of course. I do.
I kind
saw
of
that
expected that. I kind of expected that.
Oh yeah.
That's pretty much all I have to say about it.
Mic drop.
Solid case, BV.
It is.
No, I
it's-
just really loved it.
it's
Honestly,
like-
I played too many things this year, so that's really the thing that stuck out. Besides Mario, like obviously, I think that's deserving too. So
Interesting. So that's the RPG that you would put your horse, that you would back for the game of the year. Because I know
yeah, absolutely.
a couple of folks on staff are really pushing for Divinity Original Sin 2 as the best RPG. So it's Charles and Chris were both saying that that's an excellent game. So it's interesting. It's not just you. I know a couple of former staffers. Daniel Perez has been singing very high praises of Persona 5.
There have been a lot of chatty threads about Persona 5 as well.
Wickus has a weekly thread about how great Persona 5 is. So
Yeah.
I think they definitely did something right there. They were nominated for the Game Awards, I believe, for Game of the Year.
I think
So
so.
they made the top 5. That's cool.
What is... Oh, look at Charles. What are you shilling over there, Charles?
That was Persona 5.
Okay.
Oh, okay. You've just been playing it recently, right?
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that I would be, one of those people pulling for it if I had put more time in it. I'm only just starting it though, so I have a limited experience with it. But the limited experience I've had is pretty awesome.
Yeah, Persona 5 came out this year in the United States, so Shacknews is based in the United States, so we care about U.S. releases of games.
Right.
As a person who knows nothing of the Persona series or anything about it, is there anybody here willing to make some sort of more than one sentence argument? I don't disagree, but I would love to hear, just out of curiosity. Is this something I should jump into? I'm not sure.
I'd like to hear, maybe BV can tell us about it, because I only know that it's like an RPG set in high school. I don't really know much more about it than that.
The art style is really cool.
The art style's cool. I know that.
So, what do you want to know?
It's kind of hard to just nutshell. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of important things that I could say about it, but it might ruin it for people who haven't played it.
It seems like the story is a big part of that game, right? So it's almost like all spoiler territory almost.
Pretty much.
It's really funny, right? Or amusing is the word.
I would say it's got a lot of humorous moments. Personally, my vindictive sensibilities, because I like seeing people brought to justice when they do people wrongly. So one of the first encounters is with a very terrible person. So you basically have to rally your team of phantom thieves, as they call themselves, which I don't know if I should really go into why that is. I don't want to spoil it for anyone. But essentially, you have to punish someone who is a member of a school faculty. And he's not only physically abusive, but emotionally abusive. And it's implied that he's sexually abusive in some ways to his students. So it's really empowering to see him get his. And that happens to a few different kinds of other folks as the game wears on. Pretty much the same kind of themes.
It sounds like you're describing that Detroit game, except for that Persona is fun. I'm sorry.
David Cage games remain divisive experiences.
No key.
I wish I had more time to dive into Persona. I really do.
I need to play.
Anything that I said?
I think it was just the last part. Right?
Yes.
You cut out a little bit there, but no, we heard the majority of what you had to say.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Cool.
I think it's definitely deserving of consideration. A lot of people. I'm not a JRPG guy. I just don't have time. So
I feel like we might have done it a disservice this year, and I will admit to that on my end.
Yeah.
I don't think you really have to be into JRPGs to enjoy it. I know a lot of people who don't typically like Shin Megami Tensei or even the other Persona games that I thought were getting pretty into it because it mentioned, they have a lot of the same character designs that you normally see, like, the pretty guys and the cute girls and whatnot, like you see in a lot of games. But the setting, I think, is a lot closer to what you would see in a regular high school, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Less idealized.
This
is an actual issue that you could see happening in real life, at least from the first segment of the game.
There's an argument going on in chat about it. Hemtroll describes it as part JRPG combat, where you fight with Pokemons, and part high school friendship simulator. And
yeah, it's kind of visual novel-esque.
All of that.
Which I love. It's not Sayano Uta or anything.
Beowulf Schaefer replied, so two terrible
Personally,
things
I think
combined.
every part of it is memorable.
Cool.
That's cool. Is it, this might be a dumb question since it has 5 in the title, but is this a game that you would only understand if you played the first 4, or is each game kind of self-contained, kind of like Final Fantasy?
They're all self-contained.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
Well, besides like Persona and Persona 2, Eternal Punishment and whatnot, those are kind of different stories. But like if you didn't play 3 or 4, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm gonna have to give it a shot. There's no way I can beat it before the end of the year, but I'll play it. I need to play Assassin's Creed Origins too.
Yeah.
And Cuphead.
Yeah.
And Hellblade.
I need to play more.
Now go.
Yeah.
So, who's next?
How about K-Tuck?
Yeah, we're hitting up the Modojo folks. K-Tuck, what's your game of the year?
Well, from what I've played, I mean, I've seen a lot of good stuff coming out, but for me, it's got to be Breath of the Wild. It just did it for me like not a lot of games have lately.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I think we're doing this now.
So, what about it did it for you?
Well, it took me some time to adjust myself to how it actually plays. It's not really a game about doing quests, It's not even about the story like it was in, Witcher 3 or something like that. It's about exploring. And once I really kind of dived into that, I just wanted to explore all the time. I hated climbing mountains when I started playing the game, and now it's all I want to do.
Yeah, I do.
It's relaxing, I guess you could say.
I spent the first few weeks just getting towers.
Yep.
I didn't even try to progress at all. It's like, I want every tower. I need to fast travel everywhere. So that's what I loved about it, is you could just...
I didn't even know I could get towers till about a weekend. Like, wait, I can do this? Like, I can go on the street on this?
That's what's great about it. The game just like it's literally a reimagining of the original NES Legend of Zelda, and it's like plops you out. The old man gives you the thing, and you're on your way. But it's like, deal with it, kid. Like, it's not... Life is tough in Hyrule. 100 years have passed since you got that beat down. Mm-hmm. And just things are tough. But it's great. I think they did an excellent job of reinventing that series. That's nothing like Twilight Princess or Skyward Sword. I think maybe it has some things that are borrowed from them, but this is way different than any other 3D Zelda game, in my opinion.
Here's my thing. I'm going to piggyback on K-Tuck, if that's all right. Mario Odyssey is a fantastic refinement of Super Mario 64. Breath of the Wild is a reinvention not only of Zelda, but of exploration, of systems interaction, and of open world games. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Ozzy mentioned that in Mario you can kind of do whatever you want. You can do whatever you want within the limitations of running and jumping and cappy, and that's fine. In Zelda, you can almost do anything you want. I think what makes it work as an evolution, not just a step but a leap forward in open world games, is what makes getting towers fun in Breath of the Wild versus Assassin's Creed or every other Ubisoft game. In every other Ubisoft game and other open world games, you just open your map and it's like someone vomited icons all over the screen, and you kind of feel overwhelmed. That's one of the reasons I love the Batman Arkham games, but I couldn't finish. I haven't 100%ed the last 3, the open world style ones, because I just kind of would look at those maps and just get tired. Everything in Zelda is self-directed. You decide you want to get a tower, and that makes getting the tower fun because it was your choice. It wasn't some objective to check off. If you want to, sneak around tall grass and collect 10 crickets to make some stealth potions, you can do that. The game isn't saying you've collected 6 out of 10 crickets. None of that stuff, none of that clutter bothers you. You're doing what you want to do. And the solutions, that might be, to me, that's one of the most watchable and social media shareable games of the year.
Oh, totally.
There's a part in the Camel Divine Beast where you have to supply electricity to a device to open a door. One guy couldn't figure it out, so he went between the 2 connectors. He laid a string of metallic weapons between them, shot them with a lightning arrow, and that turned it on. Like that, the fact that you can do that is brilliant. There have been other people who would get in the raft, and instead of using the Korok leaf to kind of, slowly paddle their way across, they used the magnesis room and pushed a metallic weapon against it and created a speedboat. There have been other people who created airships.
Yep.
All of these things were not, it's not like Nintendo gave you an objective, like create an airship to fly above Hyrule Castle. You just do this.
They gave you the tools.
They give you the tools
that people could experiment with.
Yeah.
I think that gamers probably did things in Breath of the Wild that they didn't even know were possible.
Yeah.
And I think a good example of that, where the guy captures a boomerang with magnesis,
yes,
and uses it like a buzzsaw.
Buzzsaw blade.
He just starts walking around chopping up all the enemies with it.
You're just creating your own weapon on the fly there.
I've seen so many videos of people passing shrines creatively, doing things that completely break the game, kind of, but the rules of the game are being used. It's just you can use the game's rules against it at times in really fun ways, and the game rewards you for experimenting in that sense.
There are also so many magical, wondrous moments in that game. I'll be running across a field and the sky will darken and I'll see shadows of a cloud just kind of roll across, and I'll look over in planes and see 2 bokoblins chasing a warthog in circles, shouting at each other, trying to corner it and hunt it. The world feels alive and populated more than any other, I would say, game that I've played, not just action adventure or RPG, which Zelda is not, but just to kind of lump that genre in. Mm-hmm. That game just feels alive to me. Every time I can walk away from Mario because as joyous as I think Mario Odyssey is, and as much as I feel it does deserve to be in this conversation, it's a refinement of Super Mario 64, and that's fine. But I feel like with Zelda, again, Mario threw the baby out with the bathwater. The recurring elements are you have Link, you have Zelda, Ganon, and the Master Sword. Everything else feels completely new, but it's not new for the sake of being new. It's really damn good. They changed open world games, they changed combat in games, they changed physics in games. Every 30 seconds in that game, I will start out with an objective, and then I'll see something else, and I'll just go explore it. I never feel like the game is telling me to do that. I don't feel forced to do it. That game it feels almost completely open-ended, and I think it is just the most creative, innovative, damn near masterpiece of a game that I think it's my favorite game that I've ever played.
It's my favorite Zelda ever.
Yeah.
And I love Zelda.
For you, it was A Link to the Past kind of was on the throne, right?
Yeah,
for me, it was Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, I like Ocarina of Time a lot. Mm-hmm. But for me, A Link to the Past was the best Zelda game. I love the original's Legend of Zelda was like the first video game that I really got to dig into. Mm-hmm. And it was an amazing moment for me.
A lot of people say that that's like one of the first, if not the first, open world games, really.
Yeah, and that they reimagined it in this game in a way it was just amazing. I just enjoy playing it. I like open world games like GTA, where you can just do whatever you want. And my friend and I, the first week we had Zelda Breath of the Wild, we were like, wow, this is like Grand Theft Hyrule. Mm-hmm. You can just do whatever the hell you want, and it's like, yeah, there's a story. Yeah, you can get to saving the princess eventually. But there's so much to do in that world. And to me, it's a vast array of things that you have to do to accomplish those goals. Even the shrines themselves are very diverse experiences. Yeah. They're very problem-solving experiences that are, while Mario has the Power Moon quests, right? A shrine in Zelda takes more time. A shrine in Zelda definitely you have to think about. Sometimes you come back to it.
Yeah. And you and I might play the same shrine and come up with two completely different solutions. Whereas Mario, like if there might be a certain moon or star or shine, whatever, in a box or a concrete block, and like, okay, clearly I have to throw Cappy at the bullet bill and fly into it. Like, mm-hmm. That's the way to solve that puzzle.
What both the games do really well is, like, I started Breath of the Wild, and I'm like, okay, I'm on a mission. I'm going to go to that tower, I'm going to get that tower. And then, like, 4 things happen on the way to that tower that created a story. Like Chris was talking about with PUBG, I feel like I created stories in Zelda every day with whatever experience happened. It's like... that first time I think it's on the plateau, that rock creature appears and tries to kill you. Yeah. Like, the amount of times you have to run at the beginning of that game, it's like, most people are like, oh, that's lame, you have to run away. I'm like, no, this is kind of fun, like, it made things that in some games may seem tedious or annoying, fun and challenging to me.
I would throw travel in there, too.
Yeah.
I have a lot of trouble playing any other open world game. Even GTA, it's completely different types of open world games. But the fact that, like, now when I look at a wall, I don't want to go around it. I want to just climb over it. I want to devise my own way to get to the top and see what's up there. And 9 out of 10 times in Breath of the Wild, there is something up there. It may be a Korok who will give you a seed that you can use to upgrade your inventory. It might be one of those rock monsters or some sort of mini boss. It might be the beginning of a shrine mini quest. It might be a shrine.
Yep.
I think going back to the innovations in open world game design, any markers on the map are ones that I placed there. Otherwise, that map is clean. Mm-hmm. And that's waypoints, shrines that you beat and can warp to, but you just never feel like you have this laundry list of tasks that the game wants you to cross off.
No, but even if you do, the game distracts you. And like as
Yeah.
someone who has 4 screens in this room and multiple devices, I have a screen on my wrist.
Right.
Like as someone who has that kind of ADD, this game was like built for me. It's like, hey, go do that thing. Oh wait, look, there's something over there that's cool. Let's do that instead. It's like it is the. It's constantly messing with you. Yeah. Even if you do nothing in that game, it'll start raining and the lightning will kill you.
Yeah. And you can use that too. So one time what happened, I had on all cloth and wooden objects except for a metallic sword. I had an enemy after me. My sword started to spark, so I knew a lightning strike was coming. I threw my sword at the enemy's feet. Lightning bolt struck the sword, blasted the enemy away. Yeah. I basically just threw a bomb at him without having to equip the bomb room.
Chris is talking shit in the Twitch chat. He said we should just get over and start making out. Just say it, man.
When you're right, you're right.
Why you gotta be all subversive in Twitch chat with it? Come at me, bro.
Zelda. That's the other thing. I thought Chris was very fair and balanced in his discussion of PUBG. I will admit, Breath of the Wild's not perfect. I didn't expect it to be. The only technical hiccups that it has really, I feel like, is the occasional frame rate drop.
Big time.
But I can never, I guess big time, but I have never had it adversely
It also has really bad pop-in at various places with the trees.
I guess it does, but to me, like, that's never affected... It's never been a glitch that has affected gameplay.
It doesn't knock the game down because they've disguised it in clever ways.
Yeah.
From a technical side, I can't really knock it because it's running on like a 4-year-old mobile chip. Like,
right.
For what it's doing, it's beyond adequate.
It is. I think the other complaint that a lot of people have had is the weapon degradation system. If you're running out of weapons in that game, frankly, you're doing it wrong. There are weapons everywhere. There are shrines predicated on stripping you of all of your gear, giving you a twig and saying, use this, but don't just pick it up and swing it. Maybe cook a few things with ingredients you find to enhance your attack power. Maybe use your runes, because they never take your runes from you. This isn't a game where you have to run up and start mashing attack. You can do what I did. You can use the weather to your advantage and lightning strike someone. You can use your runes. You can, equip different suits to augment your abilities and weapons in different ways. You can use different weapons. You can steal weapons. You can do stealth mode kills. There's so many. You don't even have to fight most of the time. You can just kind of sneak away.
Oh, you can run.
It's
like the legend of getting the fuck out.
Yep.
For the first 8 hours of that game, you're like, nope, I'm running.
Yeah.
Because you have 3 hearts. You're going to get wrecked. But then...
That's the best description I've heard of that game so far. That should be the title for the Game of the Year article.
The Legend of GTFO. Because, like, seriously, you have to run at first.
You do.
But then there's this tipping point where Link becomes the badass that he was 100 years ago. He gets his heart containers up, he gets his stamina wheel up, and he gets the fucking Master Sword. And you're a badass. You go from, like, scrub who has amnesia to badass in that game.
Yeah.
Where it's different, like, in Doom last year, where you're just a badass.
Yeah.
Link kind of is, like, forgets that he's the hero of time.
Right.
So you have to, like... And they do a really good job. It's similar to Doom in a sense where people tell you about how much of a badass you are.
But you also feel that through the things you've done.
And then even the things that you do as you conquer the Divine Beast. As you get to... The first time you get to the top of a tower, you feel... Like Ozzy said, he's like, I didn't even know I could do that.
Right.
It's like... When you look around that place and you're like, I can go there, I can go there. It's the most vast open world we've ever seen on a Nintendo console. And they did it in a way that I think, like you said, it borrows from games like Dark Souls. It borrows from games that Ubisoft has made, right? But like Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
But it takes out the things that annoyed you.
Yeah.
And then it adds these new elements, like the runes that I've never seen anything like that. Magnesis?
That's the other thing. Like, a lot of people never go into combat without first stasising a monster to get that edge.
I didn't do that.
Yeah, but and that's the whole thing. You don't have to.
It's all about your own personal Link build. I had people talking smack to me because I only had 1 row of hearts.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why? I can just go get a Hardy Radish and get my hearts up that way.
Yep.
But yeah, I think it's just funny how it made me like Zelda again. I didn't like
Skyward Sword
or Twilight Princess.
Yeah.
And I hadn't beat anything since Wind Waker.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like I put down Twilight Princess like in the first 5 hours of that game. I was like, I'm good.
Well, yeah.
When they made me waggle, I was out, and that's why I for me, like every time Mario tells me to shake my controller in Odyssey, I'm like, Grr! Like no, not Game of the Year. I'm sorry, I can't give Game of the Year to Waggle.
It does feel tacked on, whereas I think most of Zelda's motion controls are optional, but also intuitive. Like one of my favorite things to do in combat, if I don't start on top of a mountain, I'll set the grass on fire, create an updraft, ride the updraft, and then draw my bow, go into slow motion, just tilt the controller to start picking guys off. The motion controls feel like an extension of that game, whereas Mario controls. I felt the same way about New Super Mario Brothers Wii in 2009. I loved that game, but the fact that I had to tilt the Wiimote rather than like use buttons to tilt platforms, it just felt completely tacked on, and I did not. It's not a game breaker. It wasn't a game breaker then. It's not a game breaker now, but it just felt so unnecessary.
So was that you talking about your Game of the Year too? Is it spoilers? So was that Kevin talking about his Game of the Year?
I think both.
That
of
was
us.
me.
That was Kevin. So, do you agree with Kevin? Is that the Game of the Year for you?
I don't think it is. Yes, it absolutely is. Yeah, Zelda's my Game of the Year as well. Blake.
Yeah, let's ask Blake before I'll say one for last. So Blake,
All right.
you're the new guy.
Yeah, I'm the new guy.
What's up?
Oh man, what is up?
So what's your Game of the Year? What jumped out at you? Was it Madden
Okay.
with Longshot?
Oh man. Well, Madden and Longshot is what first brought us together. So
That's
it's
right.
always on a special
Yeah,
place in my heart.
Yeah, we met over at EA.
Ozzy's got to bounce for a bit, but he said he'll be back later. See you later, Ozzy.
I gotta go, guys. But
Right.
this is great chat, and let's have a good clean fight. So, see you later.
Thanks, Ozzy.
Peace.
And, yep, later.
All right.
So there was no ball game with Dan Marino in Afghanistan in Breath of the Wild.
That's a good point.
Right.
Fair.
That's out
Fair.
the door, right there. Sorry, guys. Sorry, all these other fans. No Dan Marino. No Goaty. I mean, I've played probably more Fortnite than anything else, but it's still in beta.
Yep, doesn't count. You're banished.
Yeah, it doesn't count. Shoot. So, I'm gonna throw a curveball here. I'm gonna take a twist. I'm gonna go with Battlefront 2. I mean, this is a game that forced a big company to take a look at how they do loot boxes, and it's also got fans in an uproar. Like, they're pestering other developers. Like Obsidian had to make a statement saying that there's going to be no loot boxes in their upcoming title, things like that. And it's not a bad game, honestly. It's what I wanted from Battlefront 2 outside of the loot card stuff, and I think that's really only going to attract a small amount of people.
That's your Game of the Year?
That's not the most impassioned.
I'm glad that your vote only counts for 1/12.
And you guys have already brought up like Mario and
You
Zelda,
can can pile on though. You can say Mario is way better than Battlefront.
Yeah, piling on is how the ties get sorted out. That's how this works.
Yeah, you don't have to pick one.
Battlefront 2 is it's a game that lost EA $3 billion on the stock market.
You're
That's
really
nothing.
trying hard.
Who cares? Screw them.
All right.
They're still billions. They're still like 30 billion. Who cares? It's not like they actually lost any money. It's just market value. It's like when Bitcoin goes down 1,000. It doesn't matter.
So I'm gonna throw it to Hellblade then.
See, I can fuck with that.
Yeah. The reason being is, and I think I said this earlier, is the whole taking a title, making it affordable, like a budget thing that had a lot of AAA aesthetics but had an indie feel to it. I think it bridges that gap between the two sort of genres, so to speak. And the story was The story was compelling, and it really messed with you.
Okay, I can approve that.
Yeah.
Brittany has to run out, by the way, but she picked Persona 5 and says bye
That's
to
cool.
everybody before.
I really, really want to try both PUBG and Hellblade after hearing these arguments.
Mm-hmm.
But Hellblade, within the context of this conversation, because I'm not really a fan of traditional stories in games. I don't want games to tell me stories. I have books and movies for that. I like games such as Dark Souls and then from what I've heard, such as Hellblade, that really use all of the elements that make up video games, writing, visuals, audio, and create an experience that you could only have in a game. Mm-hmm. And it sounds like Hellblade has really done that.
And PUBG.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
Now that you
like the
mentioned
great
that, oh, go ahead.
the great thing about Hellblade is the voices aren't just there to just kind of be an oral effect. They mess with you. They'll give you misinformation, and if you follow it, you will die. Like, have to restart. So you constantly being fed all of these choices while kind of like getting these really sort of disturbing images on the screen and not really knowing what's going on. It really can like sort of engage that panic mode.
Excellent.
Give you that feeling.
David, what you were getting at about you want to experience games that use the format of the video game to get the narrative across rather than just telling you whatever. I think you may enjoy Observer, which was a one that came out this year that had a lot of different sequences that I thought used the format of the video game to get some of its point across in interesting ways, even though I thought that, I mean, it was like a standard kind of adventure game, but it had lots of mix-up parts where I thought that it did that thing particularly well.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, I know you've been after me to play that, and I think, hopefully I'm not mispronouncing it, Borzoi in chat, you created like daily observer threads for a while.
Brittany also played through it.
Okay.
And did it well too.
And I got the impression from Borzoi's threads that there's also some horror elements to that game.
Oh yeah, most certainly. It's only Blade Runner-ish in the setting, really.
Okay.
And it's kind of cyberpunkian type vibe, but it is horror through and through.
Okay, that sounds right up my alley. Cool.
So many games to play before I narrow down my top 10.
Yeah.
I guess I'm the last person, right?
You are. What is your game of the year, Asif?
Balls! No, not Balls. That game's awesome, though.
That's Brick Breaker of the Year.
That's my Brick Breaker of the Year for iPhone.
Yeah.
It could be mobile game of the year, too.
I had fun watching you play that. You showed it to me at QuakeCon. I was like, that game looks really, really cool.
Yeah.
Really fun time sink game.
That feels like Breath of Lola.
Breath of Lola is definitely... Everyone is experiencing Breath of Lola right now.
Puppy breath.
Right.
No, it's Zelda Breath of the Wild. But it was tough.
Mm-hmm.
Playing through Mario has been delightful. Mm-hmm. And I have been... It's like I'm bouncing between the two now. So it's a little bit of Breath of the Wild, and then I go back and play Mario. Right now I'm on like a Mario kick again. Mm-hmm. Because once I heard that I need... the next Power Moon gate I have is 500, so I have to go back and find like 100-something Power Moons. Once I saw that was the task in front of me, I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. Because the post-game has been so enjoyable. Mm-hmm. And Mario 64 is one of my favorite games of all time. And I feel like this is we're finally seeing the vision of Mario 64 like fully implemented with the power of the Switch and with the power of the engine that they chose. Mm-hmm. Breath of the Wild just makes me happy. I love playing that game. It's just a fun game to play. I don't have to have a purpose when I play it. Like when you're playing PUBG, you're trying to do something. You can just mess around I know you can mess around in PUBG too. Like you can. And I've done that. But Breath of the Wild is like infinite. You can do it for as long as you want. You can set really weird goals for yourself and accomplish them in it. But you guys spoke very in depth about it and what makes it great. But yeah, like I said, it was the first Zelda that I beat since Wind Waker, and that I enjoyed thoroughly, and it's my favorite Zelda. And I think that they did that what Doom did for me last year, where it was like I didn't really like first person shooter like story games until Doom 2016. Like I had fallen off of that wagon.
Mm.
And I actually hadn't really been playing many multiplayer FPS games. I played Battlefield 4, but like I had kind of fallen out of that genre. Except I'm not a Call of Duty person, but I was getting kind of tired with open world. I was getting kind of tired with just GTA being the only open world I played.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and like I tried things like The Division and other games by Ubisoft. I've never been much of an Assassin's Creed fan, but you know, I'm a Nintendo fan. And this thing launched with Switch, and I can't think of a better way to launch this console. Because there weren't a whole lot of great games at launch, but this game was so deep. You know, you've played over 100 hours of it, probably 200 hours of it.
Yeah.
It's great. It's my favorite game to come out this year. It's the game I've played the most this year, but as Ozzy mentioned earlier, it is a game that I had to take breaks from. Because it's exhausting at times.
Yeah, the thing is, like, I had to take breaks from it, but it was only because if I didn't, I wouldn't get adult responsibilities handled. Like, a friend of mine in high school would have to, like, uninstall Civ 2 and put it up on a shelf until, like, finals were over. Mm-hmm. This has been that game for me. I stepped away from Breath of the Wild for a good 4 or 5 months because when I picked it back up, sure enough, I lost, like, a whole day. Mm-hmm. And kind of piggybacking on what you said, like, this is not only my favorite game of the year, it's really the only game I've wanted to play. Mm-hmm. Any other game that's come across, I'm like, I could play this, or I could play more Zelda.
Yeah. I definitely, because of it, I compare a lot of games to it.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. It's like, I could be playing Zelda instead of this right now. I don't feel that way. I felt that way at first with Mario, but then I'm like, no, I like both of these. You know, they're two sides of that same really fun Nintendo coin. They're just different. I think that the story in Zelda, like the way that they told it to you, the way that it was just good. It made you feel good. You know, games. I think we talked to the folks from id Software about Doom and how they wanted to make you feel like a badass, and that was like a key part of it. You feel like a badass once you have the Master Sword in Zelda. And you have 20 bomb arrows, and you've mastered all the runes, and you know, once you figure out the systems in that, I think you can do things that I've never really seen done before, and I value innovation. So even if the game is flawed in some respects, it is. Yeah, it's still a masterpiece.
Yeah,
and it would have been interesting if this was a Wii U exclusive.
Yeah, I know a lot
Zelda still has room to grow though. With the way it looks on CMU right now, hoo boy.
Oh, I know the 4K 60 FPS Zelda does look very fancy.
Yeah.
And that's a Wii U emulator.
Yeah.
I guess this is getting into the weeds for me. You're right. You're absolutely right, Chris. That game does look gorgeous on that emulator. I feel like we're getting into the weeds of graphics versus visual style. Mm-hmm. And the game wouldn't look nearly as good on an emulator if the visual style wasn't already so strong on Switch and Wii U.
I mean, yeah, I agree, but it still is insanely better on the emulator.
Sure. I guess if graphics are part of the discussion...
They are.
Okay. Yeah, so I can agree with that.
They're one of the three ways you can interact with the game: sight, sound, and the feel of the controls. Like, I feel it's kind of important.
It is, but I think the visual style is strong enough. I think it still looks phenomenal on the console. This is a portable machine, first and foremost, for most people statistically. And if you look at it within that context, it's phenomenal. But yeah, it's running on older hardware. It certainly does have more room to grow. I haven't checked it out on the emulator, but I'm very tempted because for the same reason I played the same reason I played the Mario Galaxy on Dolphin. It just looked, like 10 times better. It's breathtaking.
Due to the way the emulator works, you can have a video card from 2007 and still play it in 4K because it's not particularly demanding at all, and it's a hoot. All that really matters is your single core speed.
Okay. Damn, that's awesome, because I know Dolphin was not that way. Like, you needed some pretty high-end specs to...
Just different emulators.
Yeah.
So some folks in the chat are talking about games that we left out.
That was something I wanted to touch on, but I felt
Yeah.
like I only could argue for my one big deal. But there was a few that I felt like I needed to name off that I want to be a part of this argument, even though I knew that they couldn't reach the top.
I know you threw out Hollow Knight earlier.
That's one of them.
I'm gonna throw out Splatoon 2, which I think is actually a delightful game. I'm surprised less staff play it. Chris, I know that the Uncharted Lost Legacy
Yes.
standalone is a game that you would like to mention, or I would assume you would.
Yeah, I'm probably going to bring it up more on the graphics section when we get to that list at the time. But I didn't like it quite as much as Uncharted 4, but I still felt that it was excellent for what I got. It's another one of those games, kind of like Hellblade, where they sold it at a discount, and you didn't necessarily get like a 25-hour deal, but it was shredded down to the bare essentials needed, and it was. I had no idea how much I played. I snapped my finger and I was done with it. Even though I knew it took 10, 12 hours, I still just loved it.
Yeah. And another game that Ozzy mentioned briefly, but we didn't really talk about a lot, is Cuphead. We have an award for them, I think, that they will win or they're in the contention for, but it is not Game of the Year. I felt like everyone likes to compare it to like platformer. To me, it's more like Contra. And
I felt like everything that wasn't a boss fight was a real slog in that.
I think that's because I believe that a game originally it
boss
started out as boss fights, and then people were like, "This seems like it should be a platformer," and they like added that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the platform stuff was all tacked on in the last stretch of development.
That would be an interesting game to do a post-mortem about, because it definitely seems like they had to alter the course at some point.
Right.
But I definitely think they deserve credit for the art style, the effort that they went through to animate that was kind of amazing.
I mean that's an accomplishment in and of itself. Just and hand drawing an entire game. Yeah, that's nuts. Like people and it took them an insane amount of time to do it, unsurprisingly, but then also just the musical direction of the game, like the live big band and stuff like that. Like a lot of cool stuff going on.
Yeah, not only
I'm interested to see what they end up doing for their follow-up project.
Yeah, for sure. I was going to say not only the fact that game is gorgeous as a hand-drawn game, but that it perfectly captures a specific type of art style and era of graphics and animation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it definitely deserves a shout out.
Yeah.
Not pictured in the Battle Royale, Lawbreakers. Let's pour some hand sanitizer out for him.
While you guys are continuing to lube yourselves up, I'm gonna throw out Neo. I think it came out this year.
Yeah, that's right.
It was like a not quite Dark Souls. It had a slightly more samurai type flavor to it.
It's the Dark Souls of not being Dark Souls.
It looked rough in parts, and there are things about it that weren't as good as what I liked about Dark Souls. But I have not finished it yet either. But the whole time I've been playing it, I've been enjoying a light little additions they made and things, and kind of the almost Diablo-esque itemization.
You know,
It's definitely got those technical aspects of the Dark Souls combat, but I just like the aesthetic more. I like the samurai aesthetic a lot more than the Dark Ages and the Knights and stuff like that.
Yeah, I played a lot of Neo this year as well, Chris. I really liked it. I'm a huge Soulsborne fan, and I liked that game. I don't know if you're feeling this or if you will. One of the reasons I kind of fell off that game is because even though I liked the combination of like Ninja Gaiden meets Dark Souls combat with, crossed in Diablo style loot, the loot system kind of got exhausting after a while. Like I got so many drops, the menus were a pain to navigate. I fell off.
Ace Casey mentioned RE7, by the way.
What's that?
RE7 I also agree with, or whoever brought that up in the chat. That one deserves to be mentioned. I think it looks great. I think it revived a series that to me I could have cared less about. Looks great. Felt controlled well. It felt like I was playing an old Resident Evil game, except for that so many of the parts that I hated about the old ones had been either taken out or brought into a more modern form. And it had one of the best HDR implementations I've messed with since doing that on the PC. A lot of the games are a disaster with messing with that, and they had it done right the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And it reminded me of being at home since I live in that house basically.
Troll says releasing anything in January is like a recipe for getting forgotten. While that is true, we have not forgotten Resident Evil 7 and other categories for our Game of the Year stuff.
Yeah.
Same with Hollow Knight. It came out in early February, I believe.
So Neo came out in January as well. I think it started on PS4. Now it's on PC.
Yeah, I did not get to start Neo until it came out for Steam here a couple months back or a month back. So all my experience is just with that version.
Yeah, I might have to switch over to that actually.
The other few I wanted to mention were Heat Signature, an indie game on Steam this year, which anybody that's played FTL knows that was a pretty big hit a couple years back, and this is pretty much FTL, or the people you play against in the game are playing FTL while you play Hotline Miami. And it's a series of you kind of jumping into ships out in space and just murdering people in very quick, hectic sequences. And it doesn't sound much describing it, but playing it was one of my favorite experiences of the year. And I know that it would have otherwise went unmentioned altogether in most categories. But anybody that's intrigued by the idea of those games being combined, I couldn't recommend it anymore. It's cheap, and it's, you could run it on a Nokia N-Gage if you had to. And I recommend that anybody that's, looking for something like that.
I feel like we should mention some of the staffers that aren't here real quick. Greg's Game of the Year, Zelda, and Bill's, I believe, is Wolfenstein. He was speaking very highly of that yesterday.
Wolfenstein 2 is definitely an excellent game.
It's no Doom. It's no Doom. But it's great.
Do you think if the cultural zeitgeist surrounding it this year, like if the timing had been different, like if it had just come out maybe like a year or two ago, that it would have been as noteworthy?
I
think it would have.
Yeah, I definitely do, because first of all, Wolfenstein: The New Order was very well received, and so I think there are a lot of people looking forward to Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus, based on how good New Order was. Mm-hmm. That said, I think the cultural zeitgeist certainly helped it. It certainly brought it more awareness during a very, very crowded release time.
They did a masterful job grabbing onto that and marketing the hell out of it with it. But I was laughing during that whole time because I'm like, BJ's been killing Nazis since 1990 whatever.
It's the dude's career.
That's like what he does.
Yeah.
So it's not like anything new and unique. It's like, oh man, I could punch Nazis in a video game. I'm like, yeah, I've been doing that since I had a Macintosh could even run that thing.
Yeah.
So it's like
this is, and like I think they've done a great job of rebooting that whole series. So like I definitely think Wolfenstein 2 is a good game, but I just wonder like how much that impacted the marketing and gave them more influence, like more so than the first reboot, which also contained Nazis you could punch.
Yeah,
and went some really interesting places with the story and some of the disturbing stuff that you went through.
I think the New Order at Shack, at least when we were doing our Game of the Year countdown that year, did pretty well. We gave them credit because we weren't sure if it was going to be a good or a bad Wolfenstein at the time. We were all pleasantly surprised on the staff.
Yeah. Wolfenstein had changed hands a number of times over the years to mixed results. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I remember that most people were pre-ordering Wolfenstein so they could get into the Doom beta that was promised with pre-orders.
That's right.
Yeah.
That did not turn out well.
No.
Because the Doom multiplayer beta, everyone was like, this sucks! Yeah. And everyone was like, oh man, this first... And then they wouldn't give us a review copy until the game launched.
That seemed to be, all the signs pointed to Doom being a dud.
And we were all like, oh man, this game's going to suck. And then David's like, no, it's actually great.
Yeah.
You ran the review for that. Mm-hmm. And then you wrote a mini book about it, right?
Yes, this spring.
Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah, so Wolfenstein 2, in summation, great game. I think the marketing helped, but there were certainly a lot of people looking forward to it as a sequel to The New Order, which was very well received and deservedly so.
Yeah, so...
Yeah.
A few more honorable mentions if you are
Yeah.
done with that one.
Yeah, sure.
Night in the Woods. I know there were a lot of people pulling for that one. It was kind of out of nowhere. Probably should have been the top of our indie list. And Nier Automata. I had trouble playing it on my computer due to crashes and all that, but the parts I played, I was very impressed with. And I know that game has got its following, and it's probably well deserved. So those are the last two I think I wanted to mention.
Awesome.
For also Rands or honorable mentions.
Sure.
I don't really.
Charles, do you have anything else you'd like to? Any other hats you'd like to throw in the ring?
I'm gonna throw one in and take it right back out,
Okay.
which I already did at the beginning.
Charles is about to hokey pokey us.
That's just Divinity again. I just want people to remember Divinity.
Yeah.
Play it.
So everything y'all said about Zelda, as far as what the new one did for that franchise, basically Divinity 2 is the same thing to Baldur's Gate 2. Take everything you loved about that and just expand it and go out and do. It just opens everything up. There's almost, I mean, you can't do anything you want to do, obviously, but within the framework,
It's an overwhelming amount.
a turn-based RPG, the freedom is insane. The voice acting is amazing. The questing, as far as individual characters and their story goes, I mean, the overworld story is, it's all right, but character to character, it's pretty crazy.
It's great. Yeah.
It launched with no technical issues that were, serious. Multiplayer through and through. If you want to co-op it, it's a serious business. Good game.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything else. Mutant Football League.
Oh yeah.
I think it deserves honorable mention. That game was
Mutant Football
surprisingly
League,
good.
Way better than it should have been, and it launched in an unbelievably stable state for me, which I could not believe. But
so is that the one
it's a tough year.
Is that the one that was kickstarted by the original creator of Mutant Football League?
Mutant League Football. That's right. Michael Mendheim kickstarted it. I gave them $5,000 to name a team, and I named it the Steamland Cleavers, and they ended up taking that name back from me. After they announced it, they sent out a PR blast about the Steamland Cleavers, and then they had to retract it, and then we ended up calling it the Leveland Burns.
Why did they retract the original name?
That's terrible.
Apparently, they thought it was suggestive
of the
and there was a band named after it.
Oh,
so they claim that there might have been a trademark issue also.
Oh, that's the first I've heard of that. Weird.
But the game itself is filthy. They say all sorts of nasty things in that game. So I don't think it's the decency thing. I think there might have been a trademark issue.
I think the most shocking part of that game is how polished it was when it released for 1.0 and the amount of time and effort that went into the commentary, the setup, the side cutscenes in the game, all the things like that. Just it had no business being that well done for what it was.
Yeah, to have
in an ocean of throwaway Kickstarter reboots of old stuff, this one was pretty crazy. Multiplayer worked. I can't really knock it for anything.
Yeah, it's a Unity game that shipped with a remarkable netcode. That's a game where if the netcode sucks, it's dead on arrival.
Yeah.
And it didn't. It was great.
Did we pick a best sports game yet?
I was going to say maybe Mutant Football League.
Yeah. What about, has Assassin's Creed Origins gotten any love yet?
I don't know that that's much of a sports game, but I mean, I guess you could say that.
I mean, it's parkour. Parkour is pretty athletic.
Okay.
I don't know.
I'll allow it. No, we didn't. We did
go
not
for it. Let's do it.
We did not shout out Assassin's Creed Origins or Ass Oranges, as I like to call it.
Way to revitalize a franchise. Like,
give it a year. I think that it teaches AAA guys, hey, you know what? Maybe take a year off. Make the game better instead of shoveling out an Assassin's Creed every year. Take 2 years on one.
Spend $80 million and 20,000 interns' time on making the most intricately detailed open world of all time while not changing your gameplay at all.
That. And it worked.
And the world is so amazing that I couldn't care less that I was not having fun stabbing anybody or climbing anything. It's just
it's
absolutely
gorgeous.
Breathtaking what they built.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, you just climb stuff and look at shit. That's the best part of the game.
Camel Tech like I've never seen. That must have been a DirectX 12 Camel.
DirectX 12 camels. Fancy.
Ain't nothing like that in Hyrule, I'll tell you that.
Oh, there's a camel in Hyrule.
A
So,
giant
There's no way it has that
one.
many,
A
there's no way it has that
giant
many
one
axes.
with a freaking laser beam. You got any lasers in ancient Egypt? I don't think so.
There are lasers in that game.
Oh.
Sorry.
There are?
I did not know
I
that.
mean, you don't actually use them yourself,
Spoilers.
but they're used against you. Yeah, spoilers. Sorry.
Jeez. Way to ruin ass oranges for me.
The spirit of Anubis is kind of an asshole, and he goes after you.
Got it. Okay, fine. But is there a
Oh yeah,
giant
I
camel?
forgot to mention back with the what was that game we were talking about where it was football with mutants?
Mutant Football League.
Yeah,
Your $5,000 would have been better spent on getting a chameleon paint job for Lola.
I don't want to paint my dog. And she already is kind of a chameleon with the carpet in this room. But she's been remarkably quiet besides breathing into the mic. Yeah, I don't know. I got nothing else really.
Sports game of the year, MLB The Show 17, as long as you don't play it in enhanced mode.
I think as long
Not WWE 2K18.
Oh God, no.
That game is a dumpster fire unless you're looking to do exhibition matches of created coworkers.
I would like to see another one of those at some point.
I think we're gonna do one here sometime around the new year if that's okay with you guys,
Oh,
and
yes.
try to get that belt off Ozzy.
I'll cut a promo and everything.
I need to be in this match
I
for the
love
belt
that.
this time. I think I was left out of the
Look
championship.
at John Cena over here, using throwing his cachet to just insert himself into a match. You need to earn that match.
I mean, I wasn't in that match either.
That's what I'm saying. What's up with that? How's David in there? He had like 3 matches that in.
yeah,
You
I'm
were
the workhorse of our
And
federation.
he lost them all.
you lost every one.
But I'm the best worker. I'm the Dolph Ziggler.
You could
of
argue
our
that
federation.
Ozzy would not have won if it weren't for the work he did in that match.
That's right. I'm the workhorse.
Because you would just stand there concussed, staring at the ladder instead
I
of getting
was
on.
selling. I was selling.
It was something else.
Yeah.
My entrance is the best though.
Chris, what is the name of our federation?
I
Is it
disagree.
just the Shacknews Wrestling? What are
It's
we?
currently unnamed, but
Okay.
I'm open to suggestions.
Okay.
Like this Saturday night Shack Down or something.
The Shackdown.
The Shack Down.
Yeah.
Shack Down could be one show. You gotta like make one off of Raw, like Shacknews Raw,
Shackdown Live.
Shack Down Live, Shacknews Raw, Shack Slam.
Shackamania.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Are we done with talking about Game of the Year? I think so.
Does chat have any
Is
other?
that- what?
My chat died.
Oh, died.
I was reading chat on my phone, and the only way for me to read chat would mess up the stream right now. So if someone else can
Everyone
look
in
at
the chat agreed with me.
with you
Ace
about-
Casey's.
Mhm.
Ace Casey said, "What about no honorable mention for South Park?"
No.
Nope.
Nope.
No.
It was all right.
Next. No.
No.
All right.
Here's your chance if you
Axeman.
want to make that argument.
You can't come.
Hamhole, I did
I like-
say Night in the Woods out loud. I tried my best.
Yeah. Chris, shout out.
Axeman 808 said Street Fighter 5.
That was last
Yeah,
year.
it was last year.
And not a good game last year.
Oh,
And no.
Ozzy's. I think one of Ozzy's favorite games is Infamous 2.
Or no, Injustice.
Or Injustice 2. I was talking about. I was
Infamous.
talking about Infamous earlier.
Yeah.
I do love that game. Yeah, Injustice 2. Yeah.
Injustice 2. Tekken 7.
Injustice 2. Tekken 7. I love that game. I'm a big Tekken fan.
I think
So
Yeah.
I had
I
a blast with it.
That's a strong
I made
contender for Fighter of the Year.
I made Bob's Burgers characters out of a bunch of the fighters in Tekken. And I just had a good old time with that.
That's pretty awesome.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, just stuff like that. I got really into the character creation this time for some reason. But overall, like, just from a technical standpoint, it was a really fun fighter.
I still need to play it.
Yeah. I never was really a Tekken guy. I liked Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter. Yeah.
I don't
Why
know.
play
I just
Tekken
like
when you can play Soul Calibur.
I'm so excited for Soul Calibur.
Tekken.
Yes.
That needs to be on Switch.
Tekken, like you just get a groove going or something. I don't know how to really explain it. It almost feels like a rhythm game to me. Sometimes I feel a lot of fighters feel like rhythm games to me, though.
Sure.
Because you're just sort of dancing with the other guy, reacting to what they're doing, vice versa.
Yeah.
All right, so Zelda wins then.
I mean, here's what I wanted to say. There's still a vote out there that we haven't talked about, and it's you guys, the chatty. The Shacknews chatty gets a vote in the Shacknews Game of the Year.
I can't believe we're listening to those clowns.
Well, we listen to them. We give them one vote. It's not like we're giving them all.
It's not like Blake where he only gets 1/12 of a vote.
Ouch.
I know in my heart what's good and what's really the game of the year in there, and that's all that really matters.
All I remember from your Battlefront argument was that it cost the company $3 billion.
That's a.
I had more to go, but everyone was just pretty adamant.
I mean, how much more did you really have for that?
I'll read anything you're willing to write about it, and I will retweet it.
No, I'll give you. Here's what I'll give you credit for. DICE makes good shooters. DICE makes great vehicle combat games, and the mechanics of Battlefront 2 are not bad, but the decisions they made with the character progression and the launch of that game were bad. You know?
Yeah, I'll give you that.
But it can't be Game of the Year for that reason. Vetoed. Banished.
No. Blake, I would be interested in hearing your piece on this.
But part of the reason that I thought it might make an interesting Game of the Year is because of the controversy that surrounded it. And that it made a company, like EA, change its policy, essentially. Like, it's also made the government agencies take a look at loot boxes as gambling as well. Like, there's a lot of stuff that happened, because of that game. And I'm just saying, like...
Just because your game sucks so bad that there's federal investigations of how bad it sucks does not make it Game of the Year. I'm sorry. It can't.
They started that investigation way faster than they did against the White House.
Right? That was like less than 3 days from the beta launch. Not even like that soft launch they did. I think.
Yeah.
It was like 3 days after the Hawaii sued EA over loot boxes. And then there was an investigation in England over it. They found that it wasn't gambling. Yeah, I agree that conversation had to happen, but I'm not going to award someone for making that big of a mess. When you got games like Zelda and PUBG and Breath of the Mario and Persona 5, like none of those had congressional hearings.
Yeah.
What were you saying, Blake?
I'm not going to argue that those aren't games that are more fun to play or more aesthetically pleasing or anything like that. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, it shook stuff up, whether it intentionally did to or not. I mean, forget. Like, that's all I'm saying.
I hear you. That would be for an entirely different category, though.
I feel like
not game.
It's definitely an interesting conversation to have. For I'm actually surprised. I don't know if we have a category for that where we really should, like most significant moment or event in the industry type of thing, because that was definitely. Like, that sent out so many ripples, like Blake said, that really did shake up. I mean, even Obsidian, other companies working on, any type of game that could involve, like, loot or microtransactions, had to come out and say, like, no, we're not going to screw this up. Like,
it's like the transformative moment of the year.
It really was.
I think that it definitely just you see how the reaction it creates from me. Like, clearly it did something if I can be this angry about it. You know what I mean? Like, there's something about it. And I really wanted it to be good. Because I thought Battlefront 1 was okay. And they did the right things in the game, like, the actual game.
2 was set up to be really great.
Yeah. The maps looked really good.
Yes.
It had vehicle combat.
Campaign.
Yeah, it had a
Things like
single-player campaign.
Mhm.
And it's just like they tripped
take
over
out-
this one thing.
You take out those loot boxes, and it is exactly what I wanted from the sequel.
It might have been a
frankly,
9 out of 10 or an 8 out of 10 at Shacknews without the loot box issue, without the character progression issue. But
My
it's
argument against it, and Battlefront 1 and also Battlefield 1 had the same problem as DICE, for some reason, the last 3 years has gone out of their way with the awful party system and stuff on the PC to make it impossible for our group of people that have spent 10, 12 years playing Battlefield games together to get in a group and play in the same match, and they have not shown any initiative or attempt or want to care it or make it easy for us to play the game. And it's ridiculous and, in my opinion, kind of unacceptable for it to be a problem over and over and over like this.
yeah. It's an interesting take.
That's a good point. Yeah, but I mean, it just comes down to like, why is something a game of the year? Is it a game of the year because it was the funnest and prettiest, or is it the game of the year because it got the most attention, whether positive or negative?
It's the game of the year because it's the one you enjoyed the most.
Yeah. I think it's
okay.
It's like, what, in your opinion, was the best game for you?
But I think that's an interesting discussion, though, because like in the same conversation, EA has gotten nothing but negative attention this year, and I think deservedly so, because they also shut down EA Redwood Shores Visceral and canned what could have been an excellent Star Wars game and put all their eggs in this other basket, and then they just like flung the basket across the room with this controversy and marred. I think the problem is, like, I was really interested in Battlefront 2, but my personal feelings on microtransactions and the reaction to the implementation of those microtransactions was so overwhelmingly negative that I was just repulsed by the idea of even trying it. Like, it completely fell off my radar.
Oh.
Which is a shame, because it sounds like, from what you're saying, it's fun. But, and they also said, like, this is temporary, all that stuff will be back, just different. I'm like, I wish it kind of wasn't there at all. I understand the need for
absolutely.
it, but I just won't touch that game.
But still, I think when you're talking about games and like stuff that got attention this year, it's a conversation worth having at the very least.
It is.
If it doesn't win, I think you at least have to point out that there was cultural influence beyond just it being a video game.
Sure.
And I think that's noteworthy. Like, controversy is noteworthy.
It's a controversial
and worth
game
mentioning.
of the year.
Yeah.
What's biggest controversy?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's something I would want to talk about, but I wouldn't want the category to be phrased in such a way that, like, awards them.
Yeah.
I want it to be phrased in such a way that, like, hey, you fucked up, and here's a reminder.
When doing it for Shacknews goes wrong.
Yeah, like, here's an ironic award for you. Yeah. When
doing it for Shacknews goes wrong of the year.
Yeah.
You mean trying. Like when I called that bomb threat into GameSpot?
Oh. Don't even joke about that. They're coming to you.
Yeah.
Don't you know?
I'm sorry. It went wrong.
The FBI's listening. They're watching our Twitch channel.
And, I mean, if we're going to talk about games that I really, like, sincerely enjoyed this year, I got to give a shout out to Ghost Recon Wildlands. It's probably more glitchy than PUBG, and it just was a lot of fun. Like, I played through that game with 3 of my friends, and we were just laughing our asses off the whole time at all the weird, glitchy stuff, and having fun strategizing how we were going to take out these different bases and these, like, cartel drug lords. Like, we even played through all the multiplayer DLC together, like the co-op stuff. And now there's, like, they just have the Predator update, so, like, I'm getting back into it.
That looks really cool, actually. What platform are you playing that on?
PS4.
Okay.
Ah.
I'm like, cool. Have fun with that, then.
All right.
I have a PS4.
I'll just be over here with all my PS4 buddies. You're welcome to be a PS4 buddy if you want.
All 70 million.
You can add me on PS4. I only have 2 friends, and they're in this chat right now.
Would
love a third.
I'll be your friend. Just on PS4, though.
We need to do Madden.
I see. That is. I guess I could play that if I was forced to.
I've got to defend my title, right?
Yeah, I need to come take the belt away from Charles.
That's not gonna happen.
Okay.
Sounds like Charles wants to cut a Madden promo.
I wish it was on PC so we could mod the game to be all Dan Marinos in every match in Afghanistan.
Yeah, that would be awesome. God, they need to make that game for PC.
More sports games should be on PC, period.
Yeah.
The Marino Bowl. Maybe one day. Maybe you can customize a bunch of characters all named Dan Marino.
Dan Marino's Combat
There you go.
Football. Boom. Million sold right there. That would have been my game of the year if they had Combat Football. Do you remember? Did anyone here remember Bill Laimbeer's Combat Basketball?
No.
Of course not. I'm
No.
like 8,000 years
Yeah.
old apparently, because I'm the only one who
Arch
remembers
Rivals.
this game.
What system was it on?
SNES.
Okay.
I remember Arch Rivals.
It wasn't very good, though.
Arch Rivals?
Arch Rivals. Yeah. Did anyone play that ever?
Yeah.
I was too busy playing
Yeah.
Jam It and what was the one on the NES that was so good?
Double Dribble.
Double Dribble. That's it.
Yeah, Double Dribble is excellent. Jordan versus Bird
And by
was
the time I
pretty
had a
good.
Super Nintendo, you had the decent ports of NBA Jam and Tournament Edition.
Yeah,
so what
Tournament,
else? Why would you play another basketball game?
Because Bill Laimbeer's Combat Basketball, you could kill your opponent and beat him up and stuff. It was great. It was Bill Laimbeer and a bunch
kinda
of
do that in
robots
Arch
playing
Rivals.
basketball. It's ahead of its time.
I'm into that.
Arch Rivals definitely had a similar combat mechanic, but it was a different perspective. It was top down.
Yeah.
So like that 2K camera that we have today? It was like the early 16-bit attempt at that. It
You
was ahead
could
of its
pants
time.
people in Arch Rivals. You could just pants your opponent.
That's true.
Just yeah. I don't think there's a lot of. I can't think of
I
another
don't know
game.
if that's acceptable in the
with
climate of
pants.
2017.
Yeah, in these times,
Yeah.
well, someone think of the children.
They all signed a consent.
I don't want to think
for
about
playing
pants and
basketball.
children, man.
No, I'm saying think about the message
What you
that you're
said-
sending to kids. That it's okay
I don't
to
want to
pants
send them the
basketball.
message that I'm going to pants them.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I think Bill Laimbeer's Combat Basketball was better than
That
Arch
shows
Rivals.
intent. Then it becomes first degree. Like, I would be in serious trouble.
Oh goodness. I got nothing else. I think I made my case. I think we made our case. I think we gave everyone a pretty good hint what we're thinking of for Game of the Year. Do you have any other games you want to shout out?
Spin Tires Mud Runner.
That's right. That was a great stream on Extra Life.
Shout outs to Sonic Mania for making a really good Sonic game.
Sonic
That's
Mania
been a
was
long
a
time.
solid game.
You reviewed it, right?
Yeah.
You remember what I told you?
The
when I-
circumstances behind it. Asif was given a review key. I think you were busy, and I said, "Should I review it?" And you were like, "Yeah, take this shit." I was like, "Okay, I'm reviewing Sonic
I'm
Mania."
like, who has time for this? I don't know. I'm not a Sonic guy.
I wasn't either, but I did really
cool.
enjoy Sonic Mania. I really loved the way they remixed stages and classic music.
Yeah.
I'm just happy they made a good
like the-
Sonic game for once.
Yeah.
Like, they finally made a good one.
Yeah,
Good for them.
The boss fights were fantastic too.
they were.
And like, props to Sega for taking a chance on the. It's basically a fan developed game,
Yeah,
right? And putting the brand behind it and letting him express himself and his love for the franchise. I think more companies should do that.
Mm-hmm.
And you might get, like, if like someone bought Yacht Club Games, right?
yeah,
And you had them develop like the next Mega Man or something.
yeah.
That would be really cool.
Right.
Oh my god. That would
I-
be fantastic.
I know.
Club with Mega Man.
Did I just give everyone the best idea ever? Yeah. You know
Now,
what I
now
mean?
people are going to start pooping on Mega Man 11. It's like, should have been Yacht Club.
Yeah, they really should have been. So yeah.
Yeah.
So do we want to? Usually, I know the way we've done this in the past. At least last year was my first year back at Shack. We do a vote.
Yeah.
We'll make it a democratic process.
Yeah. We all give our top 10 lists.
All right. And Chris had to step away.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
He just sent a message. And
Oh,
stuff.
okay, cool.
So yeah, this was a really good discussion. I just want to say, like, yeah, Zelda was, my dog in the fight, but it was never really about the fight for me. This was such a great, exciting year for games. I really was just looking forward to hearing about everybody's personal favorite game of the year. That's why I suggested we kind of do a round robin and just everybody talk about their game, because I wanted to hear, like, I need to go play Hellblade, PUBG, Observer. I learned a lot during this discussion, so I'm glad we could do it.
Yeah, so thanks everyone for taking the time out to listen to us and to tune in live. We'll be announcing it next week.
Right.
While we're on break.
Oh. All right.
If we finish all these articles.
Rockety roll.
Yes.
I'm gonna start on the Year of the Games article now. And then I'll be around to fill in the gaps. Because there's a lot of stuff that we still have to decide. But thank you guys for taking the time out. You guys should probably, if you're out there and you're a Shacker, you should probably check out the chatty here in the next hour or so.
Yes.
Might be giving away something else.
Shackmas continues.
I think I'll do an Xbox One X this time.
Can I enter that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
No.
No, okay, no.
No.
All right.
No. None for you, Shack
I'm in,
stuff.
I'm out. Okay.
None for you, Shack stuff.
All right.
No. Yeah, but I already have an Xbox One X. I got the review copy.
Mm-hmm.
This is the Project Scorpio edition that we're going to give away.
Nice.
Ooh.
So it's super sexy. You don't even have a 4K TV.
Deadly.
I've been wanting an Xbox One. Amy and I were talking about this just last night, and we want it to play Xbox OG and 360 games.
Yeah, you want it for the backwards compatibility.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I can't blame you for that. But, I think we're wrapping up.
Yeah, thanks everybody in the Twitch chat.
Yeah, thanks to everyone who watched. Check us out. We're going to be uploading this to YouTube, so we'll have a VOD of this. This is a special episode on Twitch, special show where we ripped off the Battle Royale format.
Right. Consider us for your best Battle Royale of 2017.
Yeah, please give us money. We're in early access still. So apologies for our frame drops and whatever else happened during the stream. This is the first stream Lola was on in a while. So cheers to her. She's the chairpup of the board.
What's her game of the year?
What's her game of the year? Zelda.
Oh.
Yeah. She likes the sound of it. It's very chill, and she likes it more than Mario. Mario's music kind of freaks her out. The music in Mario's great, don't get me wrong,
but
she preferred
a lot for Lola to handle.
The nature.
It's not
the
for.
chill.
Yeah,
there's very chill moments in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
And then there's intense controller throwing moments.
That's right.
But yeah, if I were a betting man, I would say Breath of the Wild might win Shacknews Game of the Year, based on these conversations we just had.
Mm.
And I know Donovan, our intern, it's his Game of the Year.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Greg Burke as well.
Yeah, Greg
Video
Burke.
editor.
Yeah.
At large.
Mm-hmm. So, but there was a lot of great games that came out this year, and we're gonna do our best to honor more than just 10 this year.
Thank goodness for Christmas break coming up, so we can actually play so many of them.
Yeah, I know, right? I'll probably never. The backlog continues to grow.
Yeah.
Because I could still play City Skylines.
But thanks to this discussion, I think a lot of the cream has kind of risen to the top of my backlog.
For sure. There's like things that I'm going to prioritize this weekend.
Yeah.
I need to play Cuphead.
I want to play that too.
The art style appeals me, and I like games that are really hard.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. Are you going to play it on Xbox One or PC?
I got it on Xbox One X, so I'm going to play it on there.
Alright. Give me a holiday. I have yet to play it too, so I'm looking forward to it.
Is there online co-op, or I know there's co-op.
Is it just local co-op?
I think it's couch co-op.
Is it just local?
That kind of makes sense. That's the sort of game where lag could really kill your experience.
That's adorable, and I love it, but also what the hell?
That should be, that's something. That's a tagline for something. But yeah, I think we'll go out on that note. Thanks everyone in the chat for watching. Go to shacknews.com for all your gaming news, reviews, previews, guides, videos,
rocket jumps.
Rocket Jump mega features.
Yeah.
Sign up for Mercury. It's $5 a month. Ad-free Shacknews experience, and you unlock premium content like David's Rocket Jump, the Doom Select, which is now called Stairway to Badass,
Doom Stairway to Badass.
and also the Tomb Raider feature that you wrote last year.
Yes.
Which was a 20th anniversary piece, I believe.
Right.
So yeah, we have premium content for you folks, and we're going to be counting down the games of the year next week, and also giving out a bunch of other awards because we want to celebrate this awesome year in gaming. This was really an amazing year. 2017 will go down as one of the best video game years I think ever.
It's up there with 98 and,
Yeah.
and 2007.
And
Yeah.
to get a Nintendo console of this quality and those games, and then also have
Yeah.
PUBG happen.
Yeah.
It's been an amazing year in games, so let's celebrate it. And thank you guys. So go out there. Thank you guys for joining us over a series of tubes. Blake, Kevin, Brittany, Charles, Chris,
K-Tuck.
K-Tuck. There's
Yeah, this is a long conversation, but we kind of knew it would be
we knew we were gonna
going in.
be jibber jabbering on for a while.
Yeah.
But Ozzy, shout out to Ozzy.
Yes.
Even though he didn't vote for Zelda.
Hey, so many great games this year. It's going to be a diverse selection.
Yep. So go out there and do it for Shacknews. Bye. Say bye, Lola.
Later.